Grand Island, Nebraska, the Nebraska Siege. Now, Ghost fans, get on your feet and let's meet the starters and your St. Joe Coach roster. At defensive back from Bowling Green University, number 0, Darius D'Lo Lorco. And just back from California, wide receiver from the Zoo and the United States of America flag football team, number 1, Boo Smith. At defensive back from Upper Darby High School, number 3, Nasir Greer. At wide receiver from Lenore Rhine University, number 4, Tom Marshall. At wide receiver from Waldorf University, number 5, Ryan Martinez. At wide receiver from Jasper, Florida, number 6, A.D. Ely. At quarterback from Fort Scott, Kansas, number 7, Josh White. At defensive back from Auburn University, number 9, Joko Willis. An athlete from Opelika, Alabama, number 10, Molly Wilson. At defensive back from Delta State University, number 11, Jacqueline Jackson. At wide receiver from Graceland University, number 14, B.J. Caldwell. At defensive line from Waldorf University, number 15, James Bell. At defensive line from East Central University, number 20, Joe Weathersby. At defensive back from Kaiser University, number 21, C.J. Bradley. At defensive line from Kansas University, number 55, Ranger Mike Reynolds. And at center from Bethany College, number 83, Oscar Scott. Your athletic trainer, James Stevens, equipment manager, Gabe Frank, your offensive coordinator, Tyrone Groves, D-line, Tyrone Weaver, assistant head coach and special teams coordinator, Jason Jones, and your head coach, Dorsey Colston Butler. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we ask that if you are able to please rise and remove your caps. Place your right hand over your heart as we honor America and those who have served and are currently serving our great nation with the singing of our national anthem. Presenting the colors for tonight is the Savannah High School JROTC Savage Battalion. Cadet Private First Class Noah Lauk. Cadet Corporal Lexi Dunwoody. Cadet Sergeant Braden Weibel. Color Guard Commander Cadet Corporal Ian Martinez. They're instructed by First Sergeant Barry Atwell, Army Instructor. Now, down to Tech Team Field and Calvin.
All right, I have Lakeisha Golston, wife of head coach Dorsey Golston, and gospel and Christian music artist. She recently released a single, Emotional Scars, which you guys can stream right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it up for Lakeisha Golston.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting, and air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does
running a lob empty for Washington. Pass for Williams. He got it. To the end zone, leaping catch, couch, touchdown.
A soggy night in St. Joseph, Missouri brings the action inside the Civic Arena. Week 4 action of the Arena League here on YouTube, and it's a battle of the unbeatens as the Nebraska Siege take on the St. Joseph Goats. Welcome in, everybody. Dylan Funk alongside my broadcast partner, Aaron Feely. It has been quite a first year so far for the Nebraska Siege. 3 games into their history. All 3 of them have been for wins. They get a big one last week, and strong play behind their quarterback in our player spotlight for them coming into tonight. It's Caleb Lowe, Aaron. 14 touchdowns, no interceptions so far. He's been purely phenomenal.
Yeah, Caleb Lowe has been spectacular, and he's done it in the way that they want to do it, the way they play ball. They are the best defense as far as scoring allowed in this entire Arena League, and he does a spectacular job, as we just alluded to, protecting the football. This is a team that leads the league in rushing, and they lead the league in scoring allowed. A real throwback ball club for an Arena League team, and the fact that he's been able to keep the interceptions down to 0, that's exactly what the Nebraska coaching staff is asking for.
Of course, strong quarterback play leading to that perfect 3-0 record. Same can be said on the other side for St. Joseph, also looking to move to a perfect 4-0 with a win. But their story and our spotlight for them is going to be the quarterback position as well. It's Josh White, Aaron. He's going to make his 2nd start in a row, filling in for Angelo Trujillo. Still not cleared. He'll miss his 2nd straight game as a Goat. But man, Josh White, 7 touchdowns of his own last week on the road up in Iowa. Just continuing this machine, this Goats offense continue to roll along.
Yeah, it's almost kind of the opposite side of the coin there. The Goats like to play a completely different style. They're all about the Madden highlights style of arena football, kind of what you think of when you picture arena ball. They're all about sacks and takeaways on defense. They're tied for the league in interceptions. They're blowing the entire rest of the league out in sacks. They've got more than double 2nd place right now. And on top of that, on offense, it's more of the same. Josh White, yeah, he wasn't able to keep the interceptions perfect quite like Caleb Lowe, but they both threw 7 touchdowns. Josh White, a really impressive start to his Goats career, and it's what they've kind of gotten out of their quarterback play for most of the season. They have struggled to run the football, and they have thrived on the big passing plays.
It's the 2 top teams in the Arena League. What more could you ask for in the 4th week of action? We got that and plenty more coming up next here on the Arena League YouTube channel. Ready to roll here tonight. Action getting started in week 4 in St. Joseph, Missouri. It is the Siege that win the opening toss. They defer. So we're going to see the Goats offense out on the field first against this Siege defense. Great crowd on hand tonight, as always. Can't say for both sides there. A lot of red and cream of the Nebraska Siege walking around the Civic Arena. So it should be a fun atmosphere. Should be fireworks on the field as well. Both teams 3-0, the only remaining unbeaten. Only one is going to leave the arena tonight, still able to say that.
Yeah, and it's going to be massively important as far as playoff seeding. 2 teams in the same division. They've got a home and home against each other, of course, in the regular season. Whoever comes away from that with the higher seed is going to get to host the probable playoff matchup. We say probable. Anything can happen. It's still early in the season, but it's certainly looking that way.
As the ball is in the air and down the field, it goes out of bounds in the end zone area. And that is the touchback, and that is where we will see the Goats offense take over. 2nd week in a row, led by Josh White, a native from Kansas City, Kansas. And he's no stranger to the Arena League in his 3rd stint in as many years. Year 1 with the Woo, last year with the Ozark Lunkers. Your Goats fans might remember him in that Week 1 game last season. He was a part of putting that Hail Mary down the field in the tackle box down in Springfield to beat the Goats in Week 1. But now he wears the powder blue of the home team, Aaron. 7 touchdowns last week, 2 interceptions. One of those being a pick 6, but again, he was signed to the team last Friday afternoon. A quick 24-hour turnaround. And that one, bad snap. He wasn't ready for it, and he just has to dive on top of it. And again, the Goats off to a slow start, if you want to say, here in the very first snap.
Well, they've had some early offensive issues in back-to-back weeks. Of course, 2 weeks ago here at home, threw the pick 6 to get things started and still ended up blowing out Arkansas. So I guess it's just kind of something they have to get out of their system every week.
Now near the shadow of his own end zone, White rolling out with pressure. He's grabbed from behind, and he's going to be escorted into the wall, and just like that, 2 plays in, and the Goats are going backwards.
Yes, a seriously rough start there. You hate to start at midfield and potentially be forced to surrender the ball, but here they are in a situation they're going to need to get all the way to the 15 of Nebraska to move the chains here.
As White takes the snap on his own 5, steps up, fires over the middle, looking for Marshall, and it goes incomplete. Pass broken up there by Ryan Green for the back at Doane University. And off the miscommunication, St. Joe obviously going to surrender here. And for the visiting Sea-Jern, that's kind of what you want to do. A quick 3 and out, now you get your offense on the field.
Yeah, and this is a team in Nebraska that is by far the best defense that St. Joe has played all year. They're the best defense potentially in the entire Arena League early on, at least as far as points allowed and yardage allowed. St. Joseph comes in with a case themselves, second in the league in points allowed. They're neck and neck. They're only less than a point difference from each other. St. Joseph, though, they get a lot of it done with takeaways and pass rush. And there you see Mike Reynolds right over the center. He is disruptive.
Former Jayhawk, they call him the Gravedigger. Him and the rest of that defense, they have been fierce on the pass rush and almost getting a turnover right away. Joseph Weathersby almost able to bring it in, and bullet dodge for Caleb Lowe. He's the starting quarterback for Nebraska, and he's been the early story of this Arena League season in 2026 out of Frisco, Texas, and he's got 14 touchdowns, has yet to throw an interception, and he's very lucky. Number 1 just wasn't right there.
Yeah, and Weathersby, a guy that 2 weeks ago was likely the defensive player of the week here in the Arena League with a pair of defensive scores. That was dangerously close to 3 early on in the season for him.
Pressure again and wide open, and he could take this all the way down the near sideline and into the end zone for the touchdown. Bringing it all the way down the field, David Brown, number 13, and the Siege have taken over here in the Civic Arena.
As we take a look at the replay, he just kind of leaks out. He's in there to block initially. You see him on the right side of your screen. Watch him stay in, and he just turns around. The Goats were trying to bring one of those exotic blitzes they like, and they just did not account for a leaker. A lot of film study that Nebraska was clearly paying attention to there. They know that that's how St. Joseph likes to live on defense, and they take advantage of it.
To convert the try to the back of the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted. And a return going to be tried. That's Weathersby again. This time he brings it in. And he'll be brought down as he gets to the 15. But it's 6 points on the board here for Nebraska.
As we take a look at the replay here, probably not the interception that Weathersby would have chosen to have caught on that drive if he could have picked his spot. But does finally come down with that one. Kills off the try. You can, of course, return him here in the Arena League. He gave that a go. Nebraska played it well. And so here we are, St. Joseph, yet another ball game in which they're going to start things off in a tiny bit of a hole at home. They really, really enjoy doing that here in front of the Goats faithful, so they can add some late game theatrics. It's something of a specialty for them.
No stranger, of course, to the late game theatrics here at the Civic Arena. Goats 3-2 all time. The majority of those coming down to one-score games in the final seconds. A return out of the end zone, and good bottled up there by the kickoff team, the throw-off team, I should say, for the Siege. They bottle him up just as he crosses the 5-yard line. And the Goats, you know, you start at rock bottom on your first offensive drive. 3 plays, you go backwards, you surrender. 2 plays on defense, you give up the touchdown. Only direction now is up. Let's see what Josh White and company have in store here, trying to get in rhythm. Again, this is no surprise the Goats have had many of slow starts in this 2026 season. Of course, they've always found a way to turn it around. As pressured in the end zone, but able to find Martinez up against the wall.
Martinez, a really tough, big-bodied receiver. Not a guy who's afraid of contact on the catch, so Pretty common sight there to see him take that shot to the ribs on that wall and have no issues.
Goats going with a little pickup. This is what they like to do, speeding things up, and a shot down the field, and it's going to be overthrown. And the closest to it was Averion Cole, number 2, the defensive back for Nebraska. Tender receiver, newcomer A.D. Ely for the Goats.
Yeah, and the Goats' biggest strength on offense has been their ability to play whose turn is it offensively from week to week. They have so many big-time receivers. Feels like a new one is having the game every single week. We'll see who it is today.
There's Ely catching over the middle, able to get by a couple of defenders. A.D. Ely gets slung down, and the Goats are now in the red zone.
Yeah, that was a dangerous potential tackle there. Full body weight on the back of the knee, but Ely pops right back up. Look at the run after catch, splits the 2 defenders. Good hitch route there, turns into a big play.
And now Boo Smith dancing around, and Boo is going to be brought down just shy of the 5-yard line. You mentioned all the different receivers. You know, it felt like one week it was A.D. Ely, the next it was Don Marshall, the next. Malik Wilson's making a big play. Boo Smith, you can't forget about him. Ryan Martinez-Neither, both with already a catch on this drive. Goats looking to capitalize in the red zone. White feeling pressure, rolling out, peeling around. Has some time, throws over the middle, and touchdown, St. Joseph. On his backside, it's Boo Smith.
And that was all Josh White. We wondered, obviously last week had a nice game against Iowa, but Iowa comes in the bottom-ranked defense in the league. Here they take on a really game Nebraska Siege defense, and Josh White, yeah, looking like another famous Josh at quarterback there.
How about that?
Scrambling around, finds his man, big touchdown.
Josh Allen reference, I love it. Josh White buying more time, throwing across and into the end zone. It's going to be brought out by the Siege. And again, tripped up before a big return can happen. So both teams scored. No interceptions in the end zone on the point try after, but nonetheless, we have a tie ball game at 6.
That was very Allen-esque as well with the stiff arm.
That was right on cue. I was thinking that too.
INT in the end zone, however. So we sit at a 6-6 ball game. Both of these offenses take advantage of big plays early in their drives. Obviously for St. Joe, it was their second drive on that play. That was mostly run after catch from A.D. Ely. It was all run after catch for David Brown for the Nebraska Siege. So hopefully here on this second drive, if you're St. Joe, you remember who all's eligible out there on the field. You make sure you've got a hat for every hat. But that is kind of how St. Joseph lives and dies. It's by that blitz. Nebraska keen to it. Should be a fun cat and mouse game for each of these two sides to kind of keep tabs on as this thing goes on.
Good matchup and a good battle with the coaches and the respective coordinators as well. As it's in the air, return will be attempted. Davis will go up against the wall, and the Seaweeds will start really deep in their own territory once again. Here at Tech Team Field at St. Joseph, Missouri, inside the Civic Arena. Dylan Funk and Aaron Feely here with you, and already in a 6-6 tie. Again, both these teams, they can sling the ball around, expect a lot of points, fireworks in this game, and it could very well come down to the winner of this game, Aaron. Could be whichever side on defense makes that big turnover, that big stop. Potentially, that could be the difference in a win and loss in this one. The only 2 unbeatens left in the Arena League. Mosey in the backfield on the right of Lowe. He sends Davis in motion. They're gonna run it. Mosey trying to get away, but not gonna get out of the reach of Mike Reynolds.
Yeah, no bonus points for correctly guessing before he even got up. Who made that big play? Look at the penetration. Swim off that defender. Use your hands, big fella. Veteran of this league. He's been here all 3 years for the St. Joe Goats. That was brilliant hand use. And then just a big time play to track down a very speedy receiver. This is the #1 rushing offense in the Arena League, and that play was blown up from the start.
And now a bad snap, and Lowe just has to dive on top of it. Now it's off the backside of Reggie Patrick. Didn't get enough on it to get it back to his signal caller.
So now both teams have had a bad snap, blow up an early play in a drive.
They just lost the grip, I think.
And you know what? Sometimes when Mike Reynolds is standing right across from you as the center, we've seen this issue pop up for a number of teams across the league. Particularly Ozarks a couple of weeks ago, they were having some real issues because sometimes Mike is breathing right down your neck, and you start to think about things other than the snap when you're at the line of scrimmage.
Pressure in the end zone, dumping it off. Hampton trying to make something happen, and he's eventually hit. And momentum is stopped just shy of the 15 and just shy of the sticks. And decision time here for the Siege as it's 4th down, 4th and short.
They'll need 1 yard here. Good run after catch. It looks like they are going to try to pick this up.
Aggression here by the road team.
Don't be shocked if this goes right to Hampton. They normally very trustworthy of their backs, but I would not try to run this thing off the right guard. There's a lot of space there, but that's going to be Mike Reynolds' territory.
Maybe some early movement, but it goes on. Reynolds pressured on low. He pumps down, throws over the middle, and it's going to be caught. Couple of goats in the area, but no problem. A big 4th and short conversion as he's able to buy time and find Vince Brown at midfield.
The former Missouri Tiger using all of that 6'6" frame, and what a throw. I mean, that is the type of accuracy that's got Caleb Lowe on the tear he's on right now. The 0 interceptions, and a big part of it is being able to precisely choose where you just want to teleport that ball down the field. That was a prime example of it on 4th down, no less.
On the jet sweep, and going to be bottled up. Nowhere to go there for Kevin Davis.
It was a great play up front by the backers, swarming to the right, and of course Mike Reynolds. Gonna want to be careful there if you're Nasir Greer here at the end. Sorry, not Nasir Greer, I had the number wrong. That was Jokey Willis. Try not to go up high too often and fling him back down. Might get a finger caught in a face mask and you'll see a little yellow.
1 yard loss, it's now 2nd and 11. This is Songa Yates, the man in motion. He gets rid of it quickly. Again finds his intended receiver. It's David Brown.
Yeah, that route was crucial for him earlier. We all remember that play. This time the Goats had a man ready for it. I can't help but feel like they're setting up this St. Joe defense for that motion man coming toward the line of scrimmage to hit an out-breaking route. He is selling inside each and every time, and right now he's mostly cutting across. You can't help but feel like they're seeing that one high from St. Joseph, and if he breaks outward, it could be trouble for the Goats.
Pressure on Lowe again, fires off his back foot, and they're going to say it's off the turf, so no interception from Joko Willis. We'll have another chance in this game, I'm sure. That will go as an incompletion for Lowe, and again, will be a 4th down play coming up for Nebraska.
And we talked about it in the pregame. This will be Lowe's biggest challenge to date, to keep that perfect passer rating going, and the Goats have already gotten their hands on 2 of them. This is the team that leads the league in interceptions. Feels like maybe only a matter of time before they bring one in.
And now the St. Joseph crowd trying to get loud. Siege trying to convert their 2nd 4th down play of this drive. And it's a low throw, and right at the sticks and able to bring it in. Willis knocking him into the wall. And again, it's David Brown, already multiple receptions for him in the game and on this drive.
And again, they love him on those chip and releases. Been effective in the short yardage, obviously the one blown coverage, and right there moves the chains.
David Brown, big 6'2", 200-pound man out of Coastal Carolina University. Yates in motion again, looking his way, batted and still able to thread the needle. Touchdown, Nebraska.
And there it was. There was that out-breaking route. They've been setting it up for most of the drive, and even off the tip, able to catch it on the reception with Songa Yates. The one small receiver that they keep on this offense. Look at that, played perfectly by Willis, bats it, but just not able to get enough of it to direct it towards the greenery. It ends up in the hands of Yates, and Nebraska's got the lead right back.
And they go for the 1-point try, make it a 7-point lead. Over the middle, caught, diving out there at the end, and he's got enough. And the 1-point try is successful, and aim for effort at the end on the dive by Kevin Davis.
Yeah, able to extend there at the last moment. Goats not wrapping up and driving through the finish on the tackle, just kind of slung him down after wrapping him up. And that allows him, I think he was trying to go for the football rather than making sure you got him on the turf, and that probably just cost him a point. Big time series there for Nebraska, and again, perfectly executed surgically in a way by Caleb Lowe, who continues to be one of the early front runners for MVP here in the Arena League.
About so far, 16 touchdowns, 0 INTs for him. He has been phenomenal so far. They're going to Need him to continue that tonight and through the rest of this season as the Siege continue to look to make noise. Also worth mentioning, Caleb Lowe, the player of the week in week 3 all across the Arena League with his performance and the numbers he put up against Eau Claire. 218 yards, 7 touchdowns, and of course those 0 INTs as this skips right in front of the goal line, up and over the wall, and it'll be another touchback. And these two teams will meet again in about a month. It'll be on the road on January 18th up in Grand Island, Nebraska. And then that's the second to last week of the regular season as well. We've already talked about the playoff implications. 4 teams qualify with the standings. Both these teams in the North Conference, if you will. 2 from the South. That's how the playoffs will go this year. So again, winners of these games and game tonight could very well do a lot in deciding who gets the potential host of that potential playoff game. We'll talk about that more as we go along. White takes a snap at the goal line, quickly gets it out to A.D. Ely with space, and he'll just drop down at the 15. And a quick pickup to move the chains for St. Joe.
And right now, that's where they're able to attack this Nebraska defense. Those zone-beating quick hitches, and it's Ely who's been able to find those holes for Josh White to this point.
Down the field, once Martinez, and broken up at the last second. Perfect pass breakup by Ryan Green.
Yeah, that was brilliantly played by Green because he was beat. Martinez had him off the snap, and Green, look at the makeup. This isn't necessarily an awful throw. That's pretty much where you want to put it. And Green with just excellent catch-up speed and a perfectly placed fingertip to force second down.
Fingertip not there. It's 6 points back the other way for St. Joseph. Instead, it's a second down and our first penalty of the game.
This one's going to be because Marshall was offside. They didn't get the snap off in time. He's the one that comes toward the line of scrimmage on that motion. A staple of arena football since the first days of the Arena League. As we've got the replay here, you'll just see Marshall come running up, mistimed with the center, and he's taken off, and he's into the secondary there by the time that snap comes. We got more movement.
And back-to-back plays. We got Laundry on the field. And both these teams, as the records would show, great teams don't make a lot of mistakes.
So naturally, they'll each give each other one there real quick and wash our hands back to step 1.
St. Joe lost to 5. Nebraska's saying, there you go, here they are right back.
We'd hate to win without honor.
So back where we start at 2nd and 10. White, he can't run in the lane. He gets chopped out. Extra hit from behind as well. We don't get up. That was Serta, the man in there making the stop for Nebraska, and it was Jason Serta, 6 foot, 215 pounds, out of Eastern New Mexico University.
It looked like they were trying to set up a little slip, quick pass or screen to the left side of the offense. They'll have to take a timeout. That obviously wasn't there initially, and White had an issue after the play. They'll have to use a timeout here to take care of that.
Goats feeling some pressure early here. Both teams putting their perfect records on the line. Dorsey Golston, the head coach for St. Joseph, not really loving having to burn that timeout there, but he will. On the other side, it's Dominic Bramante, the head coach for the Nebraska Siege. Their very first year here in the Arena League. In 3 games in your history, and you've won all 3 of them. That's a great start. Bramante was brought in by the general manager, Matt Coward, as they both were co-workers over for the Duke City Gladiators of the IFL, and Coward really loved what Bramante was able to do as the head coach of Duke City. So when they got this expansion team in Grand Island called the Nebraska Siege, and Coward was named the general manager, he had one person in mind who he wanted to bring in. He got it done. And right now, 3 games in, and already for the majority of this game so far, it definitely looks like the right decision. So a 3rd and long play out of that timeout by St. Joseph. They go to Marshall.
Oh, I'm not sure he got there.
Need to get to midfield to convert, and he got about 9 of it. So 4th and 1, and St. Joe, they're going to go, looks like.
Just might have lost track of where the sticks were, cut his route off a yard short. A lot of routes are timing based, so you can't always play too much with them, but you'd like to ad-lib for at least an extra 1 yard there in that situation.
Trying to go hard count there. They don't jump. Now he'll take off and needing that 1 yard. Josh White says, I'll get it myself. And the first fourth down conversion of the night for St. Joseph.
Yeah, that looked determined early on into that play. He knew they only needed a short distance. He just wanted the chains moved, and then they'd worry about the next.
Final 60 seconds of this first quarter. Martinez gets by an arm tackle. Touchdown, St. Joseph.
Mr. Big Play for these Goats, Ryan Martinez. And he's got another one as we take a look at the replay. Look at himself become the quarterback's best friend. Finds that hole, and look at him just settle down. He's running the corner route, but he doesn't keep running it as he knew the safety was heading outside of him. Settles into the zone that is a quarterback's best friend. Points.
And the conversion is successful as well. Tom Marshall.
Helps to be 6'2". Fan gets a souvenir. Tom Marshall ties the ball game. And this is every bit of the game of the week it was billed to be. There it is. You see them working that in pregame every single week, those jump balls against the wall. Because it'll sneak up on you. If you're used to playing 11-man, you're out there in an open field, that wall behind you in each end zone, especially on those high passes, they will really get you. You're just not used to there being that material right behind your hands. And right there, that's why they work on him so much. Dom Marshall able to pull that one in. We've got ourselves a 13-all ball game.
Yeah, needing every bit of that reach as well. I think they're conferring, the officials are in the booth, making sure that was a successful try, I believe. And it looks like everything, I think it sums up successful try. It's good for Dom Marshall. If he was 6'1.5", maybe not going to be able to bring that last one in, but he used every bit of that reach and every bit of that vertical, and he has us tied up here at 13-all. Davis on a return from inside his own 5-yard line, makes a cut, now bouncing it out, and tracking it down from behind. And guess who? Dom Marshall doing it on offense, making some nice tackle on special teams as well.
And he's got some choice words after the play as well. Used every bit of the reach on that tackle too. Reaching across, grabbing a full hand of ball carrier. Tried to rip that ball out, you could tell. And thankfully able to get him on the ground. That has been an area of concern for St. Joseph this year, has been the throw-off coverage. Been pretty decent today, however.
That is the end of the first quarter. As you would expect, both teams tied at 13. Back with second quarter action here from St. Joseph, Missouri. It's the Goats 13 and the Siege 13. The Battle of the Unbeatens, Week 4 action in the Arena League.
What if you could talk directly to your favorite Arena League player? Welcome to VIP Ballers, a social media platform where you can get direct access to your favorite player, DM them, get training for your young athlete, mentorship, personalized videos, and exclusive content. All you need to do is head to VIPballers.com, sign up, and follow your favorite TAL player.
The neighbors just stopped by. Can you throw these on the grill?
Garage beef? Huh. 5 more minutes.
All beef hot dogs. Filled with beer.
Honey, where are the gosh dang dogs?
5 more minutes.
Garage beef from Garage Beer.
What'd you do to these dogs?
Almost done.
Let's get it.
They're the two biggest stars in Kansas City at the moment, right? Lionel Messi, Patrick Mahomes at the World Cup. NFL action as well. Arena League action here in St. Joseph, tied at 13, opening up the second quarter. Nebraska with the ball as Lowe looks to pass, fires over the middle, incomplete, continuing the air raid, if you will, for the Siege. Player loses the helmet at the end, but officials break it up, make sure no extracurriculars happen, and looks like that was Salga Yates that lost it, already with the touchdown catch tonight as he jogs out for a moment.
Yeah, ran into his own teammate here, St. Joseph, with an excellent press off the line of scrimmage. That's the best way to disrupt their timing for these quick routes, especially when they've got a bunch of bodies in an area. Unfortunately for them, they didn't get enough pass rush on that play, so it was still able to develop down the field with that crossing pattern.
2nd and 8, ball's on the ground, still loose, picked up by St. Joseph. It was Joko Willis that got it, and the first takeaway of the game belongs to the Goats.
They have been really exceptional at taking the football away, but this one was basically self-inflicted. The snap was low, and once again, I mean, he's not going to get credit for it, but we talk about it a lot. That is the gravedigger effect. Mike Reynolds right over the top of the center. He starts thinking about his blocking assignment before he's got the ball snapped, and then he doesn't get the ball snapped.
I mean, if I had a former all Big 12 defensive lineman lined up across from me every single down, I would probably be a little nervous and making mistakes like that too. Now the Goats look to capitalize on the short field and to take the lead. Here's Willis getting his first legitimate carry, slung down. Looked more awkward than the intent actually was.
Only the second rushing attempt for the Goats in the game, and the first one was a quarterback keeper on a pass play. They've gotten slightly better after a good week last week in Iowa, but still third from the bottom in rush offense.
Just off the fingertips of Ryan Martinez. Goes incomplete, maybe just a little behind him, an extra zip on it from Josh White, and now quickly it's 3rd down. Obviously, you still have 2 downs to go with. Hit pay dirt here, but if you're St. Joseph, you would absolutely hate to come away with this possession off the takeaway empty-handed.
And 8 for 12 in red zone this year. Obviously, they were really solid last week, which helped boost up their numbers a bit. They were struggling a bit in the red zone prior to that. And Nebraska's a very good red zone defense.
Open with space, but he slips down. It's Willis. Kind of army crawled his way, maybe picked up another half yard or full yard. They're inside the 5.
I'm not sure if he would have scored regardless, just based on the angle of him and the defender, but he certainly would have had a better opportunity to break a tackle if he keeps his feet under him. Watch him just slip underneath the defense. Oh, man.
And the turf monster gets another victim, and Josh White's able to get the nose tackle to come off early.
It's not going to get him a first down, but it is going to make things a little bit closer. And this is going to be a huge 4th down. I'm not sure. It's still going to be a bit far to maybe try to run the football when your rush offense has been what it has been to this point this year. But it certainly
that came across early.
It opens up the opportunity, perhaps. At least you have the defense thinking about it.
Here, about 4th and a yard. White looking to throw. He goes backwards. Martinez getting rid of it, and the defense stands tall for Nebraska.
They do that a lot. Nebraska, the top scoring defense in the league, the top red zone defense in the league, and both of those things came through there. Kind of a snippet of the season for both teams, and they're going to say that was a lateral. They're going to put the ball down where it went out of bounds rather than back at the line of scrimmage.
So from bad to worse there for St. Joe, you get the takeaway, and not only are you unable to capitalize on it, but on that lateral, now they spot the ball at about the 13, 14-yard line. Fairly good starting field position here for Nebraska, all things considered, still in a tie ball game. Big star in your scorebook moment in this battle of the unbeatens.
Big time hit there.
Right on him in a hurry is C.J. Bradley, 6'1", 195 pounds, out of Atlanta, Georgia.
That was really more about the speed at which he arrived rather than his size. Obviously 6'1", 195, nothing to scoff at. But he got there like a bullet. Holds him to a 1-yard gain, and it was a painful yard to pick up. Another low snap.
Low handles, throws, and it's intercepted. The first INT of the season, and it is Joko Willis that gets it. Back-to-back takeaways for the St. Joe defense. This time the offense will be spotted inside the 5.
And this defense, it's feast or famine with a lot of these guys. A few weeks ago, it was Weathersby who was so omnipresent. This week, Joko Willis can't get that football off of his hands, and that one was just a bad read from Caleb Lowe. Willis was underneath that specific route the entire time. He was squatting on it, expecting the outcut. It was what they had been setting up on a previous drive. This time he knew it was coming, and Caleb Lowe just never gets off it. Obviously, there was pressure in his face. You're not going to blame him too much for wanting to get rid of that football, but you have to see that Willis is standing there.
And handoff Martinez.
Oh, don't do that.
Inside the 5. Maybe thought about pitching it back to Boo Smith, but holds on to it instead. And that took for Caleb Lowe about 13 quarters and change for him to throw his first interception in the Arena League, and it comes via Joko Willis, a former Auburn Tiger in the SEC. And now again, St. Joe looking to put this ball into the end zone. White will survey, pumps, still looks. That one goes incomplete, left his hand a little awkwardly. It was Jason Serta, the man on the breakup there.
Yeah, I think he tried to Spider-Man this ball back into his own hands in a way. Like he didn't really want to throw it once he saw an undercutting defensive player. And it just ends up kind of going awkwardly right into the turf beads. You'd like to see him. I mean, he got 2 downs to get it. They tried Martinez to get that run game going on 1st and goal. I'd kind of like to see maybe even, I mean, Josh White's a big guy. He's a good runner. Maybe put some extra bodies in front of him. Let Martinez lead the way. As long as you stay between the hash marks, let White try to go north and south, see if he can't get 2 yards here. And if he doesn't, you still have 4th down to go.
And you already had 1 chance on the turnover the drive before you came away empty-handed. It would really not be good if you do it again here. But #1 red zone defense, #1 overall defense. And I think the story for Nebraska is everyone's been saying, yeah, you know, you've been doing this against some of these offenses that have been a little bit lackluster. Let's see you do it against a team like St. Joseph. Well, they've already done it once, and they're 2 stops away from potentially doing it again. White, the lone man in the backfield for St. Joseph. Inside the pitch to A.D. Ely, and the seizure there, and they drive him backwards. Holmes and company denied once again, and it's 4th down.
As we take a look at the replay here, just a little shovel pass forward to Ely. Oh, and that's, yeah. I don't know if that was a mistake or just an awkward design, but you got Martinez going in motion, but he doesn't get across. So you haven't pulled any defenders away. All you've done is draw their attention to that exact spot. I'm assuming that had to have been a mistake, and it ends up costing them.
3 straight failed 3rd down tries for St. Joe. White jumps in the air to the end zone, and I think it's intercepted. It is. Back-to-back stops off turnovers for this Nebraska defense.
And there it was, that 3rd down play. They weren't able to get Martinez all the way across, and it ultimately cost some points. Here's the play. I mean, no issues with throwing an interception there. You're just trying to make something happen, throw it up to Martinez. He's a big play guy. He's the type of guy that can normally go up and make that play for you, but an even better play made defensively by the top defense in the league in Jaleel Holmes, who's able to get a hand on that thing. Good hands on display there from the linebacker.
We talked about the vertical and leaping catch of Dom Marshall on his conversion try for the Goats a little bit ago. Well, how about that on the INT, and doing it with 1 hand, 1 arm too for Holmes. Impressive stuff again for the Goats. Doesn't kill you to throw an INT there, but now you've had back-to-back chances off turnovers by your defense, and you've cashed in for zilch. It's still 13-all as it's batted out of the back. They're going to call it incomplete. Goats are begging for a safety.
I think they were trying to argue that it was a backwards pass, but it was clearly batted. No, they're still arguing their case. We'll take a look at the replay here and see.
For all you folks at home.
Oh, that is backwards.
That's a backwards pass.
Yeah, that's a safety.
And are they going to look at this anymore?
I'm not sure if they'll take a gander at it, but that was a backwards pass.
And I think we might have a challenger. At least they're gonna look at it. That was head coach Dorsey Golson. You see him right there talking with the white hat and the officiating crew. And you saw it on the replay that you folks just saw at home. That definitely was backwards, as Lowe was trying to get it to his man near the goal line and tipped out of bounds. Missed very well, of all the ways to break a 13-13 tie, who had a potential safety on there. As Weathersby again, they got a hand on it. Trying to pitch it out to number 11, Joseph Hampton. And another look for you folks at home watching.
There you see, he tosses it at the 1.
That's definitely backwards.
Yeah, and where the contact is made there, I mean, that's at the goal line by Weathersby.
Slow motion, frame by frame. I mean, that ball is in the end zone. It's touched.
I'd imagine this is likely going to be a fairly quick review. Headset is off.
And I think they have to review. They're going to overturn. They're going to say that this is indeed a safety. And it will be 15-3 St. Joseph. And we're going to be relayed down to the officials down on the field. Another just big moment. The second quarter has been filled with the turnovers and these quirky plays, and a big one there. Again, it's Weathersby who just continues to make plays on defense. Later in the early season edition for St. Joseph, a man from New Orleans, and he has experience in the Arena League in 2025. He won the defensive MVP with the Mississippi Wolfpack of the AAL. He was a big pickup here. He decided to come to St. Joseph. Had a fumble recovery for a touchdown here in the first home game 2 weeks ago, and thanks to his hustle on that play, as we're relaying it to the fans here in the Civic Arena, that is a safety. And the Goats get 2 points and the lead back 15-13.
This St. Joseph Goats defense has been one of the most fun watches of the Arena League all season long. Now, the Arena League, Arena League football was really started under the promise and the premise of, hey, come watch this alternative football. It's going to be high scoring. There's going to be action. It's a shorter field. Come watch some touchdowns. It's where Kurt Warner got his start. All this stuff. And the Goats have kind of made it almost a personal mission this season to say, now hold on a second. There can be some real fun to be had on the defensive side of arena football, and they are making it an extremely must-watch style of defensive Arena League ball here. Nebraska as well. These are two teams that will absolutely knock someone around, and it's been a beauty of a showcase here tonight of both of these defenses.
A little sloppiness at time. It was the Goats with the slow start in the first quarter. The second quarter, after back-to-back scoring drives in the first for Nebraska, fumble, interception, and now a safety. That puts the Goats back in front by 2. As this will be a touchback. And again, I think if you're Nebraska, you're sitting up there and looking, thinking, we're down 15-13, but this very well could have been, a couple of scores given up off of those turnovers that they already given up. Could be a lot worse. I think, all things considered, the Siege very happy to be in the position they're at right now. Maybe not losing the game, but only to be losing by 2 compared to multiple scores. I think you're going to take that every time.
Well, and obviously they won the coin toss. They deferred, so they'll get the ball to begin the second half.
Yes,
it's not as big a deal to be down 2. The bigger concern now is making a stop here.
This time the Goats starting at their own 5-yard line, and a shot down the field. Nobody home, and it's intercepted. Avarian Cole, the only one that was near it, and now a return. And the Siege get a takeaway.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what it was White was trying to do on that one, but well played. There's that stop that we were talking about. This is just never open. He's under some pressure. He gets away from it. I don't know if that was miscommunication. He expected Marshall to cut in, but yeah, Marshall double covered down the field, and he had a man in the flats if he just wanted a quick pickup. You avoid the sack, get your 4 to 5 yards there. I'm not sure that that's really where he wanted or where any of the offensive coaches would have wanted that ball to be placed, but that's the stop Nebraska needed, and here they have their chance at a response.
Incomplete, maybe tipped. That's what Mike Reynolds is saying. In this second quarter, it has been anything but pretty for both sides, both with 3 possessions. Nebraska cracking open their 4th right now, and all 3 have ended in an interception or a turnover on downs. Still 15-13 for St. Joseph.
I'm actually kind of surprised, too. Nebraska hasn't tried to lead on that run game more, maybe feeling something of the gravity of this matchup. They've decided that they want to try for the big plays in a game against another undefeated team, but they've been the #1 rush offense in the league. It's wild. They've only run the ball once.
Quick throw, Hampton escorted into the wall. It's number 11, Jacqueline Jackson for St. Joseph. For the Siege, averaging close to about that 70 yards per game on the ground, first in the league, and by a pretty wide margin as well. And again, off another pass play. I mean, maybe only can count on one hand, definitely the amount of times the Siege have tried to run it on the ground. We'll see if that's something that continues as the game goes, or maybe they start to rely on that to help turn things back over into their favor. The baton of momentum is still up for grabs in the second quarter. Who's going to be the first team to take it? Siege trying to do it, knocking on the door of the red zone. A low step, but collected and shot to the end zone. And a perfect throw and a great catch by Saga Yates. Touchdown Siege. They're back with the lead.
So back to the in-cutting route. You fed him those out routes enough. He broke outside. You set it up one drive. It leads to an interception. So now they come back. They break it back the other way. And Yates is putting on a clinic out there at receiver. And low, a perfect throw from the Siege quarterback. Look at this, right over the top of that defender, perfectly placed, and now they'll go for 2.
Yates 2 touchdowns last week against Eau Claire. He has 2 already tonight in the first half against St. Joseph. For the 2-point try, open, David Brown, and he is in.
So second time that St. Joseph has come with that exact blitz. They bring the backers from the same side, and again, David Brown just kind of leaks out. This time I'm not even sure that it was really more than just kind of a touch, less than a chip. Just gets right out into the flats. Lowe finds him. And it's back to a 6-point Nebraska lead. What a ball game.
That breaks the streak of 3 straight empty possessions on offense for Nebraska. And they take the lead 21-15. 4 minutes, 13 seconds to go in this second quarter before we hit the locker room for halftime. Massive week 4 contest in the Arena League. I had a game going on last night. Rest of the action happening here tonight, live on the Arena League YouTube channel. Yates, the man that got the touchdown, he's got 2 of them. Now he's going to send the ball in the air. Back to return for St. Joseph is number 14, P.J. Caldwell.
The Goats have tried their luck with a number of different returners.
Off the rafters. We see it off the video board a lot, but the whole rafters don't see that all too often. It's treated as a dead ball.
Same as throwing it out of bounds, yeah.
Going to start at midfield. That's where the Goats will take over, as they now will look to end their streak of 3 straight drives on offense that have come up with no points.
They almost might be a strategic point to that. If you're Nebraska, St. Joseph, their offensive success has come with the long plays. When they've got space, they've got the speed to make things happen. The closer they get to the opponent's goal line, the field shortens up. Nebraska's played that better.
White quickly to Wilson in stride, first down and more. Malik Wilson gets tumbled down as he goes to the 10.
Lost some hardware there as his helmet's in the turf. He's going to have to come off for a play. Imagine
Gadsden, Alabama.
P.J. Caldwell comes in for him. You'd imagine maybe Ryan Martinez in the backfield for a play. But it looks like it'll actually be Boo Smith.
They don't send Boo in motion. He's still back there, and that's where White goes. Smith with some space trying to lower the shoulder and not going to get by the defender there on the far side of the field. Settling down, that looked like Keyshawn Cunningham, the man over there for Nebraska, trotting off the field. P.J. Caldwell back in as Malik Wilson. He'll be to the right of White as he'll take this next snap. Second and long play, batted. Was it backwards? And blow the play dead, incomplete. You saw the coaching staff for the Siege almost yelling out there to scoop it up. That's Evan Simons, the man who got a paw on it.
Always a good idea, just no matter what. Even if the ball is 20 yards downfield, you see a ball in the grass, just pick it up just in case. That's just good coaching from the Nebraska sideline. And good hustle by Nebraska. You can tell that they have that preached to them. Hustled down there, picked it up. And here's another third down on a condensed field.
Now to take off White, he can run, a leap! Down to the 1.
So there we go. Here's going to be yet another 4th down and goal from short. Watch White tightrope just inside the hash mark. Whoop, 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 whoop. Good
So
pump
close to pay dirt. Now White to throw again in the end zone. This time it's going to be caught. Touchdown, St. Joe.
And we finally have a reason to bring up Boo Smith, who's got himself into the end zone. Had a conversion earlier from his backside. They'd appreciate another one here if he's got it in him, but he at least ties the ball game with 2:06 to go. Watch him from the backside. This is just all improvised. Points to the back corner as he goes along the back of the end zone. That's just scramble drill 101 right there, and Boo Smith and Josh White with a great connection.
A 1-yard touchdown pass to number 1 in Boo Smith for St. Joseph. White just flings this, hoping for the best. And nobody is home, and once again, under 2 to go, 1:56, and we are tied at 21 all.
And I like that from White. He showcased it a number of times today, a very unselfish player, willing to just kind of throw that ball up on 4th down situations and conversion attempts to just give him a shot. There's no chance of scoring if you just take the sack. And he's completely willing to risk the interception numbers for his stats for the benefit of the team. You love to see that from a quarterback. Obviously, it hasn't worked either time to this point. It's just kind of hoping for a prayer. But it does at least showcase a very unselfish nature from the quarterback. Good to see there.
Again,
we got a tie game at 21.
And again, the story for Josh White in his 2nd straight start for St. Joseph's. He's only been officially signed to the team, has 8 days filling in for Angelo Trujillo, now trying to help battle for his team to help them move to 4-0. Tied at 21, under 2 to go in the first half. More action from the Civic Arena in St. Joe. Welcome back to St. Joseph, Missouri. Nebraska set to get back the football. 21 all here between the Goats and the Siege. And under 2 minutes to go until halftime. A chance here for Nebraska with the long sustained drive. Could potentially have the final word in the first half, and they will receive. They'll open up the second half. So we'll see what they can make happen. St. Joe getting that last touchdown, courtesy of a catch by Boo Smith in the end zone from 1 yard out. He has 2 tonight. Been great action as we expected between these two teams. Offenses have been putting up numbers, and they've been doing it too, Aaron, where both of them have had some sloppy moments, some turnovers, especially a safety for the St. Joe defense with a deflection out of the back of the end zone. And despite all of that, I mean, some interceptions, fumbles, the safety, like I mentioned, on both sides, we're still tied at 21 all in this ball game.
Yeah, it's two different ways to get there, and been a fantastic game to this point as we've seen two top two defenses, two top four offenses. The Goats trying it with the takeaways, the Siege doing it with tight red zone defense, making those stops.
Try to go to the run game with Hampton, and the #1 rushing team in the league in Nebraska, and they haven't done it all too often. Maybe the third or fourth official run play they've had, and it gets them about 2, so 2nd and 8. Nebraska does have all 3 timeouts remaining.
Definitely
just one for St. Joseph.
Careful here if I'm the Goats. Nobody back deep.
Over the middle. And
whoa.
Able to hang. No, it's in and out. That's Darius Norfels for the Goats that has it. And I think they're going to rule this. They're going to get together and talk. Right now it looks like a St. Joseph interception again.
It's hard to tell what it looks like, but we'll take a look at the replay.
Initially, I thought strong catch by the receiver. Terrific hands with coverage.
We take a look here. Yeah, that was ripped away.
That's Nasir Greer in coverage.
So this is going to come down to whether or not they rule that Kevin Davis had the ball long enough to constitute a catch, and I don't think he ever caught it. They are going to call that a catch and down, but I think the ball was bobbling the whole time. This might be an interception, because I'm not entirely confident that he ever secured the ball. But as of right now, they're ruling it a catch and down.
And of course, if you're Nebraska, you're wanting to get up. As soon as you get the green light, the whistle, you want to go. Now it'll be stopped again. Again, we're under, now 30 seconds to go in this first half. So of course, officials in a big play like that are going to look at it every chance they get. Whether they do it here or not is still to be determined. We do have a pretty close proximity with the replay booth up here at the Civic Arena, and there's nobody coming over to look at the monitor yet. And I don't think they are. I think they're going to rule it in as the catch on the field, and he was down. Siege in Goats territory will take over just past midfield as we take one more look.
Yeah, I don't know if any NFL fans out there remember the Bills-Broncos playoff game, but yeah, that ball is never caught. But we play on.
Now a throw, incomplete, some contact, and Nebraska wants a flag, and I don't see any. 20 seconds to go.
But we move on. There's nothing. A snap has been had. So here we go, final 20 seconds. Good coverage down the field. Maybe one that St. Joseph is going to want back later on. And we'll see now if Nebraska. Lowe has been fantastic tonight. He has thrown his first INT of the season, but he's been sharp otherwise.
3 touchdowns to go with those. Looking, pressure, rolling out. Reynolds hot on his back. He pitches it to his center. It's on the ground. Flags are down.
There's a lot to sort out here.
Oh boy, tell me. There has been a lot to unpack in this second quarter.
First of all, the center is ineligible unless he's at least 5 yards downfield. So we'll take a look at the replay. That's going to be the penalty. Now we're going to find out, was this even a live football? Because if so, we might have a Goats touchdown. That's a penalty.
That's a bang-bang if the knee was down or not sure.
Well, we're going to have to see if the ball touched the ground because he never caught it. Let's take a look from this angle. No, that is an incomplete pass.
That's Weathersby that came in and got the shoulder into the big body of Reggie Patrick, 6'3", 315 pounds. And officials are still talking this out. 10 seconds to go in the second quarter, and another pivotal moment that can swing either way. And of course, if you're Nebraska, I mean, I guess you'd be praying for a, at best to say it's a sack as far as was the knee down of Lowe before he even threw it to his ineligible center.
Either way, the ball's going backwards.
Yeah. Either way, it's just a matter of do you get to keep possession of it or something else entirely.
Well, they're going to have possession either way.
Either way, yep.
So there you go. It's going to be third down with 10 seconds left. And that's going to back them up big time. Now, the real question is going to be, I mean, if you're St. Joseph, 10 seconds, how is this clock going to play out for you? Can you get them to run 2 plays in that amount of time and still leave 1 second left on the clock potentially?
Again, the Siege with all 3 of their timeouts, so they can get one in quickly, maybe get half or a big chunk. Maybe that's what they're going to try to do. Throwing it up for Yates, and it goes into the field boxes. Incomplete, and with 6 seconds, a little more hard-pressed to think you got another play in your back pocket. You try to take another shot downfield.
So your decision here is, do you just forfeit the ball to St. Joseph, or do you try to run a play here that you think can waste 6 full seconds? Now, right there, they threw that ball long, and it only killed off 4, and it was barely 4. That clock was at 7 and just ticked to this end of 6. You got the full 6 up there. It's 6.99 on the clock right now.
Siege still over on 3rd downs. They're a perfect 2 for 2 on 4th downs.
And they are.
They're going to go ahead and surrender. And now it's up to St. Joseph with 6 seconds to work with. Only 1 timeout. And they want to try to make some late first half magic happen, or just go ahead and take the tie into the locker room and get ready to get back on defense and open up the 3rd quarter.
Well, if I know the St. Joseph Goats history like I do, if I'm Nebraska, I would be watching for a hook and ladder or a tipped ball to Ryan Martinez.
Regardless,
that would be
Ryan
my
Martinez
suggestion.
has had numerous spectacular late half-a-game theatrics in all 3 years here with the Goats, and he's out there lined up at the bottom of your screen. Smith motion man on the far side, and I think he crossed early as the flag comes in.
Yeah, not going to blame him too much for that one. They're trying to get Boo Smith going full speed. He's just running a go ball. Nebraska knows it. They've got the safety shading to Boo. So it's going to be 2-on-1 even if you go that way. But yeah, Boo Smith, he doesn't often use his motion at top sprinting speed like that. So I think it threw off Oscar Scott just a bit with the timing of it. And so now they're going to have to do it from 5 yards back.
White backing up near his own goal line now, steps up past the 5, fires it down the field. And it's incomplete. And 0's on the board, and that will be halftime.
I like the idea. This double coverage and a good pass from White. Not necessarily top of the line in percentage that it's going to come through, but I like the idea to be aggressive there, and if you're going to be aggressive, that is the play to run, is just see if you can't get Boo Smith to make a huge play on a go ball.
Why not?
But he comes up limping.
Something to keep an eye on. We head to halftime here in St. Joseph, Missouri. 21-all between the 2 3-0 unbeatens and the Arena League. More coming up for you when we return.
What if you could talk directly to your favorite Arena League player? Welcome to VIP Ballers, a social media platform where you can get direct access to your favorite player, DM them, get training for your young athlete, mentorship, personalized videos, and exclusive content. All you need to do is head to VIPballers.com, sign up, and follow your favorite TAL player.
Garage beer saved my life. It's 30 years ago today. A lot of predators in this jungle.
Almost done.
halftime here at the Civic Arena in downtown St. Joseph, Missouri. 21-all between the Goats and the Siege. The first of two matchups with these teams this year. Both at 3-0 as we are in the middle of week 4 action all across the Arena League. Dylan Funk and Aaron Feely here in the broadcast booth with you. You know, Aaron, it's a tale of two different halftime shows we had from 2 weeks ago where the game was all pretty well but over between St. Joseph and Ozarks, and now we sit here tied at 21-all, but maybe not the way that you'd expect to get to a 21-all tie as we sit here after the first 2 quarters of action. A whole lot to unpack, particularly in that second quarter with some turnovers, some sloppiness, but you know, so far I think it's been the as advertised as far as the competitiveness and the close scores.
Yeah, it's two teams that they do it in different ways, but they're very similarly built in that they are both top of the line offensive units that complement defense-first organizations. The Goats do it as we talked about already. They've got the big turnovers there at the end of the half. It led to a safety at one point. Back-to-back series that were very interesting there from the Goats as they get a fumble recovery, Nebraska holds. They get an interception, Nebraska holds, but then after that second hold, bat the ball through the end zone for a safety. You know, you got to do what you got to do in these tough, tight games like that to scratch and claw your way to a lead. Lead didn't last long, however. Nebraska fights back. They've been really solid at that. They've got a good punch back going. Caleb Lowe, that's always a big question. When a quarterback has that moment like Lowe did, his first interception of the year, how do you respond? Some guys get gun shy when that first one hits. Caleb Lowe has not. He brushed that thing off so quickly. It has been very impressive, and right back on it, hitting very accurate passes. He's on time, he's in rhythm. He has everything that every previous quarterback that St. Joseph has played has not been able to be when they've been getting after these guys. He looks so much more comfortable than the Goats have made everybody else. It has been impressive. He has probably been the offensive player of the game in this first half. The defensive player of the game, well, you got to give that one to Joko Willis. He has been spectacular for the defense of the St. Joseph Goats, and what a battle it has been through this first half.
And this is just through the first 2 quarters as well. We got more to break down when we return on the halftime show here at the Civic Arena. Back here in St. Joseph, Missouri, tied at 21-all at halftime between Nebraska and St. Joseph. And a quick look at the highlights to see how we got through this halftime score. Plenty to break down from that first half as folks get to watch along at home. I mean, second play on offense in the game, that's how you want to start for the Siege, going right down the field and scoring for that opening touchdown. Yeah, do your little dance. That would make me want to dance too, Aaron. I don't know about you. Why not?
Yeah, obviously, always a big shout out to tight ends making huge plays. Most important position in football, Dylan.
There you go. I'll set you up for it. Improv there by the backup Josh White. It's never a bad idea to look for Booth Smith. He was on his backside, got it to him either way. First of 2 touchdown passes that first half from White to Smith. How about this one? Talk about threading the eye of the needle, as even through getting a fingertip on it, still enough to find its way to Songa Yates. His first of 2 touchdown catches from that first half. More action from the St. Joe defense. Not a play you're going to see on the highlight tape for Avrion Cole with the arm tackle there. Martinez able to squirt by as he hits pay dirt. But again, the Siege trying to answer. But there's the first INT of the season for Caleb Lowe. But again, Aaron, it's his defense, #1 in the league, and they picked their young quarterback up, denying the Goats not once but twice off of turnovers, and both of them were when the Goats were taken over in the red zone. How about that leaping up, one-handed INT in the back of the end zone on 4th down by Jaleel Holmes.
Yeah, the turnovers went both ways. You see an interception here. One of the big things, though, in that first half that Nebraska needs to clean up is their snapping game. Reggie Patrick, not necessarily the greatest game of his career, put the ball on the turf. By my count, 3 times there in the first half, and 2 of them led directly to turnover. Well, one of them led to a turnover, and the other one was a safety, but as good as a turnover, essentially.
Yeah, a couple of low snaps in there, too.
Yes, it was just not an ideal half for the Nebraska center, and we'll see if they can clean that up in the second half. For St. Joseph, they're going to want to get back to their pass rushing ways and see if they can't create a little bit more disruption on low.
We got some stats coming up for you guys on the other side of our break here in the halftime show. 21-all between St. Joseph and Nebraska. Breaking into some of these halftime stats for you here, team stats. We'll start first on the Nebraska side. 96 total passing yards, only 3 rushing yards. That's 99 total, 3 penalties and 2 turnovers. Obviously the one that jumps off the page there for you, Aaron. The #1 rushing offense in the league, only held to 3 rushing yards in the first 2 quarters of action.
Yeah, that's been huge. And St. Joseph, obviously 18 rushing yards, not necessarily ideal, but considering that for a majority of this year, they were averaging single digits for the entire game. And even after a 77-yard performance last week against Iowa, their best of the season by far, they've still only gotten it up to about 21 yards per game rushing on the season. So they're on pace to be better than their average at this point. And yeah, you talked about it, holding Nebraska down to just 3 when they've been averaging over 80 per game has been spectacular. And yeah, the big thing has been the turnovers. Right now, it's the difference in this game. St. Joseph, Nebraska looked more consistent on offense in that first half, but St. Joseph was able to get the 2 takeaways, pin Nebraska back at their own end because of one of them, and create the safety. It has been a massive part of this ball game. And yeah, it's 2 teams that, I mean, the passing yards look pretty much on par for what you were expecting. It's 2 teams that pass the ball very well, is what it is. You talked about it, the rushing yards, though. Absolutely insane.
Is that something to see try to get back going in the second half or not? Come to find out, but definitely one more turnover and penalty compared to St. Joe. So we'll see. Plenty of second half adjustments being made right now. Still a whole other second half to be played between these two. Tied at 21 all. Saturday night action in the Arena League.
What if you could talk directly to your favorite Arena League player? Welcome to VIP Ballers, a social media platform where you can get direct access to your favorite player, DM them, get training for your young athlete, mentorship, personalized videos, and exclusive content. All you need to do is head to VIPballers.com, sign up, and follow your favorite TAL player.
The neighbors just stopped by. Can you throw these on the grill?
Garage beef? Huh. 5 more minutes.
All beef hot dogs. Filled with beer.
Honey, where are the gosh dang dogs?
5 more minutes.
Garage beef from Garage Beer.
What'd you do to these dogs?
Almost done.
Come on, man. Let's get it.
2 down, 2 to go here. St. Joseph, Missouri, only one team going to walk out still undefeated. And of course, with both teams being in the same division, the Northern Division, it's going to be a big 1-game lead for the winner of this game. And of course, the rematch will be held in Grand Island, Nebraska in about a month as both teams are taking the field right now. And again, here 21 all, still anybody's ball game. Let's start on the side for Nebraska. You know, as far as keys to the second half, maybe some adjustments. I think probably going to have to start getting better snaps like we mentioned, but do you think the rushing game, trying to get that back in running, maybe to help take some pressure off of the passing game, is that going to be a big key in the second half of the siege?
I would certainly like to see Nebraska attack it. Now, obviously, they had a couple of rushing attempts in the first half, and yes, Mike Reynolds did a good job of playing both of those, rallying to the ball. St. Joseph is a very good defense. They've got a lot of quickness. They shut down some of those lanes, but it's not going to just magically open up for the one rush attempt you take in the second half unless you keep attacking it. You have to keep St. Joseph on their toes. Right now, the Goats are daring them to get back to their rushing attack, and they are playing back thinking of Nebraska as a one-dimensional offense right now. If you're Nebraska, you cannot allow that to continue. And for St. Joseph, I mean, I think the offense, keep doing what you're doing. Probably try to attack with the running game a little more in the red zone. They've only got one red zone rush attempt in this ball game. But that's just been something that they've had to deal with all season. They'll probably have to deal with it for quite a bit longer until they start getting some more beef down at the line of scrimmage. They like their speed, and so they play with an offensive line consisting of 2 wide receivers and a tight end. It's just going to be an issue for them when they use that personnel, and that's fine. That's the way they like it. But for Nebraska, yes, I would imagine you really need to come out here and try to make a statement and start running the football at St. Joseph.
If you're put yourself in Coach Dorsey Golston's shoes right now, you have your backup quarterback making his second start to that first half, and Josh White filling in for Angelo Trujillo, and it's going to be Josh White's show for at least the next couple of weeks. Hopefully Trujillo, the team saying Trujillo, hopefully back after the 4th of July bye week. What's your message to him before he takes the field for these crucial final 2 quarters?
Well, he's a veteran. You don't really need to get him too out of his own head. I think he knows what this is. He took the Ozark Lunkers to the postseason last year. He technically took the Iowa Woo to the postseason and won a playoff game. We don't talk about that here in St. Joseph, but he won a playoff game for
we left those in the Kansas City days. That's
for the Iowa Woo. He's an experienced guy. He knows what it takes. I think it's just continue doing what you're doing. Don't try to do too terribly much. He's been a selfless quarterback. He's been a smart quarterback, barring one play there in the first half. I'm still not sure what that coming out of the safety was. But yeah, I would say keep doing what you're doing. If you're Josh White, keep us on course. We're a big play offense. You don't necessarily have to be afraid of the interception. I think if you're St. Joseph, you like what your offense has showed, and just try to keep it on course. See if you can't just win the ball game your style.
Offense will have to wait. It'll be the siege to receive. And a quick bounce out to the other side, past the 20, hard into the walls at about the 22. And great starting field position for Caleb Lowe. And his offense, 3 touchdowns, his very first interception of the season in the first half. I mean, we have mirrored scores, some stats pretty close in mirror. Well, of course, the lines for the quarterbacks as far as touchdowns and INTs, exact same, both with three touchdowns and 1 interception. We'll see if one can put some distance between themselves and the other throughout the course of these final 2 quarters. But, you know, for Lowe, who's been, you know, I think the thing with him is everyone's saying, let's see him against a legitimate, bona fide defense in this league. Is he going to still stay cool, calm, collected, make the big throws? So far through 2 quarters, yes, that has been the case so far. He's puts this one towards the feet of his intended receiver.
I mean, I'd like to see him let it play out, but that is an incomplete pass from the start.
I think the officials off of that safety where the pass was going backwards and the lateral was going backwards are kind of letting everything play out a little bit. We've had a couple of close calls in that first half outside of that potential safety play for the Goats. And yeah, that looked like incomplete from the get-go, but again, kudos, I guess, for letting it play out.
Yeah, it was a good play call against a blitz coming from St. Joseph. The only problem was you generally want to throw that into the blitz. Now, unless you have St. Joseph's call card in front of you, they had no idea that that was coming. Just an unfortunate break for him to throw it to the opposite side where the coverage side was.
Gates looking to get a head start. Incomplete, man over the middle, Vince Brown. Big 6'6" body, 240 pounds. At the University of Missouri. Never bad to always look his way.
And look at the hands catch by this fan in the white hat at the end, too. Hey, good tip drill there. Do we count that as the 2nd interception for Caleb Lowe on the season?
Off deflection, why not? And, of course, in the Arena League, you get a souvenir, you keep that souvenir.
Yeah, he's going home with that ball. And here, big 3rd down.
3rd down and 10. So far, 0 for 3 on 3rd down tonight is Nebraska. Pressure comes quickly, and again he finds it's David Brown this time.
Pressure in his face, so you don't mind seeing him just get rid of the football and live for 4th down. Might have been premature to go to Brown, but again, hard to really blame him for just not wanting to sit back there much longer with the blitz coming from St. Joseph. Problem was, that play's gone for some big plays today. That particular time, the Goats had it well covered.
Calling a 4th down and 7 at midfield.
If you insist, I will.
Siege are much better That fourth down's 2 for 2 so far, but it's not going to continue here. Pass was behind the intended receiver, broken up by C.J. Bradley, and it's the Goats defense that stands tall.
And that is a confusing call to me from Nebraska. This is exactly what they have not been doing all game, and it's what other teams try to do. They left everyone into block, and they essentially ran a two-man route. And St. Joseph was able to blitz without the risk of anyone sneaking behind him, and their coverage was played brilliantly behind it. C.J. Bradley had that one locked up from the start.
Marshall with space, Wilson out blocking for him, and a good pickup on first down for St. Joseph.
Marshall getting it done again, as Dom has had a couple of big plays. That one goes for a short gainer.
A Brady Bunch reference on Arena League YouTube channel? A throw down the field, inside the 5. Again, it's Deontay Boone-Smith.
And here's where the troubles have been tonight. It's red zone time. They're inside the 5.
Going with their hurry up, 4 downs to get the points, and going backwards as he pitches it to Wilson, and all over him, Jason Cerna, number 28, the very first player ever signed to the Siege roster, making an impact here in the third quarter. White to pass again, getting all sorts of time from Scott. Now he'll look to take off and go. He's going to be short of the goal line.
And that is almost the exact danger zone for this Goats offense. Of course, quarterback run taken out of the equation now from inside the 5. Part of the Arena League rules. So you got 2 downs to get it. You're going to have to hand it off or throw, and Nebraska has stunted them at this area of the field.
And Smith and Martinez in the backfield. Martinez late motion, pitching it back. And again, red zone struggles continuing here, especially from the 5-yard line in for St. Joseph on offense.
Now, obviously, it nearly could have ended in a turnover. I would not recommend pitching while wrapped up like this.
No.
But if I might talk crazy for just a moment, I actually think I like St. Joseph's odds of scoring from here better than I would the 2.
To the corner, and it's incomplete. And for the 3rd time this game, the Nebraska defense denies the Goats inside the 10-yard line.
More spectacular defense on display. They just go fade route here, but the problem was Nebraska saw that coming. They were shaded to Martinez, so he's double covered. Nebraska knew what was coming their way from the Goats on that one. Just a poor time. It's unfortunate. Again, you don't know what the defense is going to be in when you call the play. Sometimes you just get unlucky. That's what that was right there. They thought they were going to get Martinez one-on-one. Just didn't happen.
Both teams open up their possessions in the second half with turnover on downs. Now a shot down the field with a step is Yates into the bread basket. Touchdown, Nebraska.
He beat him right off the snap. You saw that coming from a mile away the moment that he crossed line of scrimmage. As we'll get a replay here, the only question ended up being there at the end as he was bobbling the football. So we'll make sure he reeled that in all the way to the ground. The crowd says yes. And there's the bobble as he re-secure it. I never see it hit any grass. So that's going to be a good score for Nebraska. They're going to go for 2 again. And I would keep an eye on David Brown.
Over the middle, and it's incomplete, and it's actually intercepted. And Joko Willis got a big block, but tracked down from behind. Intended receiver was Joseph Hampton. Didn't even have his head turned around. And it's another conversion try interception in this game.
That was a huge block from Ja'Kalen Jackson on a Vince Brown who has significant size on him. Now, obviously didn't see him coming, but he's giving up at least 8 inches of height. And according to our roster here, 55 pounds. And he managed to really throw a good one there. But now, obviously, St. Joseph in a 6-point hole. We'll see if the offense can form a response. And are they going to have to do it from their own side of midfield? Because when they get inside the 10, Nebraska has been money on the defensive side.
The story on that last drive, of course, it's Songa Yates. That's his 3rd touchdown tonight, 5 within the last 2 games, this week and last. He puts the Siege back in front by 6, 27-21. Nebraska 1 for 2 on 2-point tries tonight. Off the bounce is Caldwell. Up the sideline, penalty flag is down. Inside the 15, so let's hold on and see what this one's about. This could be sent the Goats back, and initial signal looks like it's going to be a hold.
Yeah, Nasir Greer was tapping his own chest coming off the field. Usually a sign that you're having to apologize for something, and in this case, it was a bit of a grab of the jersey. So the long return negated. Again, though, the way St. Joseph plays offense, I don't really think field position is the biggest factor with these guys. I mean, they can score just as easily from here as they could from the other 20.
I think you're more comfortable with this offense back in their own end zone compared to on the doorstep of the opponent's end zone so far, as that's a good chunk on first down into the walls by Malik Wilson. I think that's a very fair point, at least so far in this game it's been the case.
They certainly like to rely on speed and shiftiness, create some space. Makes it easier when you've got a lot of green in front of you than they do just raw power, get it up the field.
White wants to take off. Another nice stiff arm. Josh White down to midfield.
Yeah, that's not going to count. He was well outside the lane, and now a flag is down.
There's a flag on the field.
Again, the running lane for the quarterback to run, he has to stay within the hash marks. That's the running lane. If he crosses the line of scrimmage outside of that lane, it is a no-good play, a penalty to bring it back. And that's going to be the call right here. So White taken off a run a couple of times tonight, and each time he's gotten closer and closer to that boundary of the lane from being a successful play to a penalty, and that time he crossed it.
So they'll have to back him up. They will get to replay the down. It's not a loss of down penalty like an intentional grounding or anything like that. But it is going to make it 2nd down and 10 after they got a decent chunk on the first play to Malik Wilson. That's negated by the penalty. And he had Wilson again there on that play if he really wanted to, but I think his eyes were downfield. He was hunting the big play, and when it wasn't there and the pressure came, he just went to take off. Might have left some yardage on the table.
Now the ball spotted at the 6. Quickly in the hands of Marshall, gets a big block. Dominic Marshall past the 20, 1st down and then some for the Goats.
The run after catch today from St. Joseph has been unreal. They are running hard at the receiver position here in St. Joseph. Oh, he's got Smith.
Flag down again, White pedaling backwards, wrapped up and brought down by Evan Simons, but again a flag was out in the middle of that play. As there's becoming more and more laundry on the arena field this time around in the 3rd quarter.
I think there was some miscommunication with the pre-snap. They might have had 2 guys motioning towards the line at once. That is going to be the call. Would have liked to see White again keep his eyes down the field before focusing on that takeoff. Boo Smith opened himself up nicely. After running initially just a hitch route, he started leaking toward the outside and got himself wide open, and White just never saw him. Got Martinez.
Goes over the middle for A.D. Ely, and it's incomplete, in and out of his hands. A little high and to the left, and if you ask A.D., he's going to tell you, I need to catch that.
Yeah, Ely has not necessarily had any issues with his hands this season. A rare drop for one of their big play receivers. Oh, just lobbed that one up. Oh, Smith.
Had him just incomplete pressure again on White. He had a couple of pursuers after him as he goes down to the field, down to the turf.
That's going to bring up 3rd down here for the Goats, and a pair of missed opportunities on back-to-back plays for St. Joseph. Had Martinez on the previous play open down the field, and there Smith just a little too far out in front of him.
Pressured immediately again. That was Serta busting through, nearly an interception for Jaleel Holmes. This time the pressure of the Siege gets home, and the Goats are going to surrender.
Yeah, that's one. We talked about the selflessness on 3rd and 4th downs near the goal line. This is one, though, you just want to put in your pocket. A sack definitely preferable to throwing that ball, and now the St. Joe defense is going to be called upon in a very big way. A huge opportunity here for the Siege, Dylan. as they've got an opportunity to take the first multi-score lead of either direction of this ball game.
We haven't had any of those in this game. I don't know. It's been one score through and through. And like you mentioned, Aaron, yes, a big opportunity for Nebraska to come through. And again, Joey, just what a big moment this can be. And of course, with the lead right now, if they can manage to hold on, win this game, your fourth win, your fourth game ever in your program's history, and establish yourself as the top dog in your very first year of the Arena League. A lot on the line in this second half, but an underthrow. Second interception of the game, and this one's gonna go for 6.
Very, very fortunate that there is laundry-lessness on the field. That could have very well been a bit too much contact with David Brown, but hey, the officials here in the Arena League, they let him play, Dylan. That has been consistent throughout the years. We take a look at the replay. Beautifully undercut by C.J. Bradley, but this is all on the coverage. Look at this, down the field, played well. You know what? I take it back. I think most of that contact was after the interception. And that was just a bit underthrown, and C.J. Bradley read it brilliantly.
Now on the other side of that for the Siege, you have your quarterback, Caleb Lowe, throws his second interception, his first pick 6 of the season. He's got that off his back now. But lowering the shoulder there at the end and taking some contact, and you see him bend over, was slow to get up. He's in pain here on the bench. And something to keep an eye on. I mean, it was his left shoulder, so his non-throwing shoulder, but we'll see. The Goats for the lead, and it's batted down. So from 1 second here, we're talking about potentially seeing our first 2-score lead. A minute later or so, we're right back to tied at 27.
It's amazing how that tends to work when you got two excellent teams. It just finds a way to keep itself tight like this.
It's incredible.
Even with that opportunity for Nebraska, they get a bit too aggressive. Underthrown ball leads to a pick 6. It does stay at 6. The only conversion for the Goats, who have had some struggles with conversions this year. They've had historical struggles with conversions as well.
Yes.
But yeah, the only one they've converted was Boo Smith sitting on his backside. So I don't know, next touchdown, I don't know, have a couple receivers crawl to the end zone maybe and then just roll over, wait for the ball.
I mean, it's something, even back to the Kansas City days 2 seasons ago. I mean, the 1-point try, 2-point tries, it didn't matter. They just have always struggled on those, and they've always had such an explosive offense that they can just rack up 6-point drives and usually get away with it. But in a game like this, definitely can be the difference in a win and a loss. The pick 6 from C.J. Bradley has us tied again at 27. The return for Nebraska. You can tell things definitely starting to get a little chippier out there as we go on and on.
Got to appreciate the discipline. You can tell these are two well-coached teams, not just because of how good they are at football, but I mean, look at every single play. It does feel like these guys are playing physical to the whistle, maybe even a half second through the whistle, and we've had no issues whatsoever. That's how you want it done. You want to impose your will on an opponent, but never cross that line. You never want to give up free yardage or just lose your composure as a competitor. And both of these squads have done a spectacular job of the exact perfect amount of physicality.
Couple of motion men there, and a throw that's wide and incomplete, intended for Kevin Davis. You know, the paper told us coming into this that these were the 2 top teams in the Arena League with all the various stats and everything. And if not 1 and 2, usually in the top 4, top half. And you know, seeing them playing it out here on the field, well, always believe what your eyes are showing you, and that's what I'm seeing here. The 2 top teams as of week 4 here in the Arena League. They're right here in St. Joseph, Missouri. This has been a treat to watch, and we still have the whole 4th quarter to play and just over 4.5 here in the 3rd. Low snap again, Low collects, fires it down the field, but it's off the video board.
That is fortunate.
And a flag is down as well.
Oh yeah, that's far side, right around the line of scrimmage.
And this is, I think this is going to be against St. Joseph. Will be their 5th penalty of the game, if so. Possibly, as somebody was lined up offsides or came across just a little early.
Yeah, I believe it was Joseph Weathersby who was flirting with offsides for majority of the pre-snap. I thought he had adjusted himself to get back, but I guess he wasn't back far enough. Still lined up offside, and now you see him checking with the official, making darn sure. Let's see if they go right back to that post.
Down the field, incomplete. He was going for Davis on that last play before he hit the video board. They tried to dial him up again, but he led him too far, and it's incomplete.
And he had Davis on both plays. Once it was well defended by the video board, the best defender on the field, and this is two good defenses. And this time he just has him on an outbreaking go, that fade route, and he just overthrew him.
So now the dreaded third down play for Nebraska, 0 for 4 in this game tonight.
4th in the league on third down conversion rate coming into tonight.
Need 5, down the field, Yates, he's got it! Spinning against the wall, touchdown, Songa Yates! Ball's out at the end, but they call it a touchdown. Yates has his 4th, and the Siege have the lead again.
That was a perfectly placed ball. It wasn't pretty coming out of his hands, but watch the blitz. It gets in there beautifully. St. Joseph does that. And then, yeah, right into the end zone. Oh, well, we'll take a look at it.
Hey, this look right here might tell it.
Nebraska elects to go for 2 from the 10.
Rolls off the wall.
Oh, no, he did not get in.
Questionable play. Are they going to send it for a challenge? And
that's going to be up to Coach Dorsey. It doesn't look like he's challenging it.
Bobbling on the snap, a 2-point try, low to the back of the end zone, and went off the bleachers and then caught, but as soon as it hits those bleachers, that's a dead ball. So the try is no good. 8 for style points, I guess. And again, touchdown led by an unsuccessful point after try, and it's the Siege that get back in front, 33-27.
Yeah, and that's now potentially 2 big plays that the Goats have selected not to use a review for. As we take a look at the replay again of that long touchdown, I mean, that might have been one that if you're Coach Golston, you really would have liked to get someone's attention and try to get that reviewed up top. I think he hit, he hit the door.
And maybe this is something,
which is a full 1.5 yards before the end zone.
They took the advertising banner off of there too. It was just, again, a bang-bang play. Didn't have quite the best of looks on it. The one he did challenge was indisputable. I mean, it was a great camera view on it. Maybe he's just saving that challenge for a potential bang-bang play in the 4th quarter, because given the way this game has gone, there's going to be something that pops up as a return attempted by Caldwell, and he's not going to make it to the 5-yard line. He comes out a little bit. Siege calling for safety, but he definitely had forward progress out, and they're going to mark him at the 2-yard line.
And so they're going to need to be careful here. Another big response drive for St. Joseph, and a huge opportunity for Nebraska coming off the touchdown. 6-point lead.
And how about the Goats trying to play catch-up in this game, too? Outside of that safety, where they led by 2 points, outside of that, they've been trailing most of the time.
A conversion would help.
Marshall maybe gets a little bit more breathing room. I think they give him just 1 yard to the 3.
We'll gain about a yard. It's 2nd down.
And that is exactly where they'll spot it. This is where you'd like to have a bit more of a dynamic rushing attack, but St. Joseph, it's just not been their strong suit.
Spikes it as he was heavily contacted in the end zone. And again, that's Serta making the bull rush there for the Siege. No stranger around the arena football scene as Jason Serta for the better part of the last decade plus. 2 sacks last week, and he's had multiple pressures in the backfield on White, starting to claim real estate. As we're under 2 to go in this 3rd quarter with the Goats currently down 6.
And this is big.
That's going to go to the end zone, trying to get him to come across early, and well done by Josh White and the rest of the Goats offense to hold up.
And that's part of the issue when you have an aggressive blitzing backer like Serta. That time, he tried to jump the snap count, and sometimes you just get burned by it. There wasn't a great deal of space to go backwards for St. Joe anyway, so it's always worth a shot when you're pinned back like that. At worst, you move back a yard.
There you go. Goats have failed on 5 straight 3rd down tries, and it's going to be 6 in a row as Another great play made and covered by Ryan Green, knocking it out of the hands of Ryan Martinez. And the Goats are surrendering once again. Back-to-back drives via the surrender.
Yeah, this third quarter has not been kind to St. Joseph. They have yet to score on offense in the second half. Nebraska's offense has put up all 3 of the touchdowns here in this third quarter. It just so happens that one of them went to the St. Joe defense. But yeah, it's been another Caleb Lowe show. He's thrown them all, and right now he's got him a 6-point lead. If he can dice up this Goat defense one more time on this series, he could put him ahead by 2 possessions and maybe put a stamp on a 4-0 start to this season. Never completely over, though, with this Goats team, especially here at home.
Yates in motion, they go his way, up against the wall, they get tripped up, incomplete, gonna have to adjust some padding. As in coverage was Nasir Greer. I think what's been so impressive about Lowe this game too is he's battled his first real true taste of adversity, throwing to a couple of interceptions after having none coming into tonight. One of those being for a pick 6, but he still has battled, he's done well, he's responded, still throwing the ball down the field really well, especially the song of Yates. And I think on the other side of that too, he might owe that defense a good state dinner or two with the way they've been able to help step up and limit this Goats offense from putting up points off of some of those turnovers as well. And that's going to do it for us here in the third quarter. 4th and final coming up when we return here in the Civic Arena in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's the road team, the Nebraska Siege, holding on to a 6-point lead.
What if you could talk directly to your favorite Arena League player? Welcome to VIP Ballers, a social media platform where you can get direct access to your favorite player, DM them, get training for your young athlete, mentorship, personalized videos, and exclusive content. All you need to do is head to VIPballers.com, sign up, and follow your favorite TAL player.
The neighbors just stopped by. Can you throw these on the grill?
Garage beef? Huh. 5 more minutes.
All beef hot dogs. Filled with beer.
Honey, where are the gosh dang dogs?
5 more minutes.
Garage beef from Garage Beer.
What'd you do to these dogs?
Almost done.
Come on, man. Let's get it.
Fourth quarter action, 15 minutes in regulation to decide a winner in this one. It's Nebraska holding on to that 6-point lead, 33-27. Dylan Funk and Aaron Feely here with you at the Civic Arena in St. Joseph, Missouri. Siege again a score to take the first 2-point lead of the game and just out of the reach of Vince Brown. That's a pretty big target to overthrow, the big 6'6" reach, and that's just over his outstretched fingertips.
Yeah, obviously a difficult one to put too high, but it might have just been an issue there. I think Brown might have expected the ball sooner, and he flipped his hips a bit too soon. Lowe expected him to just continue at a dead sprint. And now this is a big third down for the Goats defense to try to get this ball back. And for Nebraska, huge opportunity to really put your foot down.
Still over on third downs tonight as Nebraska 0 for 4. Low snap, low handles, pressure coming from St. Joe. He dumps it off short. There on the wrap-up is Willis for St. Joseph.
At 0 yards, so you'd imagine that's the stop the Goats were looking for.
And it is, as the Siege will now surrender the ball. And back comes the offense of St. Joseph.
The Goats, they've had to change up the strategy just a bit after that opening series. Huge credit to Coach Coach Golston, as the Goats have not been utilizing the same number of mass linebacker blitzes that they normally use. They realized quickly that Nebraska had come ready for those, ready with the quick passes, the chip and releases from their tight ends. And St. Joseph has played much more coverage today. It's been working.
A dump on the far side and quickly pinned up against the wall. And, tremendous yeoman's work put in tonight by this Nebraska defense. You hold this St. Joe offense, even with Angelo Trujillo out for the second straight week. An offense that still averages between about 60 to 70 points week in and week out here so far. And they're held to 27 to open up this fourth quarter. It's been impressive, and another nice tackle as he wraps up Dom Marshall and taking him down. That's Avery on Cole.
Yeah, Marshall has not been easy to tackle tonight. He has broken a number of them. That just wasn't one that he had any prayer of. He was well stuck.
Folks need to get to midfield to keep the drive alive. Smith going to get a head start. Comes back to the first down stick. White doesn't find him. Trying to run out of trouble, and it's incomplete.
And this Nebraska defense has been something else. They're holding him now, still 6 points. Boo Smith thought he had a chance at it. At that turnaround stick, he started kind of hopping up and down after he didn't get the ball. I think he thought, hey, just fire it in here, see what I got. I think Josh White might have been a little bit trigger shy just because of the undercutting defender, but they're going to go here on 4th and 9.
About that. Snap is going to come with about 12 to go in the ball game. Try to get him to come across early. Flags come down.
Oh, he got him.
And a 4th and 9 or 4th and 7 or so, definitely going to be much more manageable coming up. That is penalty number 5 in the ball game for the Siege.
We'll take a look at the replay here.
Thank you, Nebraska.
Oh yeah, Nebraska was arguing for a false start, but you could clearly see Isaiah Nixon was already in the neutral zone when St. Joseph flinched. That's how that call came about.
Now it's 4th and 3, pressured immediately. White pulls it up, looking for Ely. Incomplete is going to be the call. And a 4th down stop for the Siege for the time being.
And this might be another close one as we take a look. Earlier on in a similar play, they ruled the receiver down as he came to the ground. We'll see if they have it. Well, I mean, based on my knowledge of the rules of football, that is an incomplete pass. But based on precedent earlier in the game, they changed it to catch and down. But I believe the correct call should be incomplete. That's what they've ruled on the field.
It's like, I like the way you put it. Off the knowledge of rules, incomplete by precedent, maybe a catch, but now the Siege going right back to work, trying to get the ground game going, and it just hasn't been happening. Joseph Hampton cut down again, maybe at the line of scrimmage at best, 2nd and 10.
And you know what? You talked about the backup quarterback situation. It really has not been anything to do with Josh White, though. This Nebraska defense has just come ready for everything. White has made some truly tremendous throws. A 2-year starter in this league, so not a traditional backup anyway.
A 3-year starter. Considering starting this year and then start for the Blues, starting with the Lunkers. Things are getting chippy out there as the Siege are able to move the sticks. It's for 15, James Bell, apparently newcomer here for the Goats this season. Just a couple of games under his belt and getting a heated conversation with head coach Dorsey Golston. While Nebraska knocking the door, getting to the red zone, threatening to take the 2-score lead for the first time tonight for either team. flags are out. I guess now it's the old-fashioned pointing game. You cross. No, you cross first.
A lot of amateur officiating taking place from each side of the players. Mike Reynolds, his attempt at a false start signal turns out to not be totally convincing. And that would be why.
It's pretty hard when you're lined up with the football right there, too. And, you know, Reggie Patrick, when you're getting pushed back and the ball has still yet to be snapped, I think you feel pretty confident knowing, yeah, it's going to be 5 that way.
We'll leave it to the professionals at this officiating game. There, Mike, going forward.
Now it is 1st and 5 inside the 10. Lowe will throw and getting a hand on it first, I believe, was Willis. And trying to force it into Kevin Davis, but no dice.
I'm not sure he actually got his hands on it, but he was very close. That was a dangerous spot to put that football for Lowe, who is still eligible as a runner. They are just outside the 5, but he hasn't been necessarily the most prolific runner across the Arena League. He's perfectly content to just throw pinpoint accurate passes instead.
2nd and 5 to the end zone. It's caught. Touchdown Nebraska, touchdown Vince Brown.
Using every bit of that 6'6" frame, the ex-Tiger going to work. As we take a look at the replay, just running a little wheel route. He beats Weatherby right off the ball, and yeah, that's part of it too. You cannot do that. Mid-route, you're beat. You cannot turn your head back to the quarterback. You need to get back in phase, as they say. And an easy touchdown there for big number 10.
On the point after try, no good. In and out of the hands, a shove there at the end. And now the lead is 12. It's the first 2-score lead for either team tonight, and what a showing it has been for Caleb Lowe and this Siege team on the road. And here we go with some tempers flaring. Mike Reynolds for the Goats, Reggie Patrick, the two big fellas getting tangled up there.
And Reynolds is walking off the field. Now he's starting to do some talking.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see those two line up. Just a matter of inches from each other at the next stoppage. You did. It's Reggie Patrick still talking from his sideline box, and Reynolds doing a little bit of the same in the Goat side.
And now we're on a real walk. Now, that 4th and 15 play that is available to you in place of an onside kick keeps this thing technically alive for the Goats. The issue is, you know what you got to do first before you can worry about an onside kick?
You got to score.
You got to score at some point here in this second half.
And this could be beneficial, as that did not go in the landing zone. That's out of play in another dead ball scenario. So right at midfield will go St. Joseph. And arguably, after you take the first 2-score lead of the game, Aaron, if you're Nebraska, that's the last thing you want to do there.
In theory, assuming that they even care at this point, their defense has been so spectacular.
Maybe so.
It might just be a pride that, you know what, put the ball at R2. Let's line it up.
I meant with how great the defense has been, it's something good to know, but you also have to be aware with the amount of weapons and the talent that this St. Joseph offense has, that eventually maybe they start to get things rolling, get a couple of scores strung together.
Now, the first thing St. Joseph is going to need to do is get Oscar Scott onto the field.
4 straight drives on offense that have ended up with no points. 2 surrenders and 2 turnover on downs. 5 if you want to include the end of half, the end of the second quarter. Wide open with space. Wilson a chance to run at the 5. Touchdown, St. Joseph.
Well, that's a fairly quick answer. And an issue potentially for Nebraska. Evan Simmons is down.
And that was a big reason Wilson was even able to score on that play.
And you kind of saw, I believe it was Marshall. We'll see it on the replay, but the lead blocker who comes back for the Goats points it out as he's going to block another Siege defender and says, come this way, the guy is down. And then gets the sorry, it was Boo Smith. It was someone in the single digits, I guess.
Again, this St. Joe offense, lightning quick. They can answer with a quick counter punch, and they needed one there. They get it. And now the attention on the field to the injured Siege player in Evan Simons. He gets up, he's okay. And he's lining up like he wants to play defense on this conversion try, but they're going to bring him off the field.
I would actually probably say, my own personal opinion is I would try to embrace the 2-point conversions more. If I was St. Joe, you're struggling as is with conversions anyway, and it allows for the potential, first of all, more space, but the potential quarterback run as well. We'll just go for one, however.
White running out of time, and the ball's out. Smith trying to scoop it up. Now it's taken by Nebraska, and it's in the hands of Bruno Canham, a late week active this week for Nebraska, and he takes it back the other way for points.
That is not what St. Joseph wanted. Sometimes you just got to know when to let the play die.
Boo Smith trying to keep the play alive, scoop it up, instead not able to get it, and you'll see Canham off a little quick ricochet, just scoop it up and takes it the other way. I think that was Ryan Green that dove out on the turf first for it to kind of get the bounce that Canham needed to take it back the other way. Bruno Canham, again, a late week active to the roster for Nebraska. He was born in Togo, West Africa. He grew up in Aaron's neck of the woods up in Chicago, Illinois, and making a big special teams play here, or defensive play at least, on a 1-point try. And now the lead is 8 for Nebraska. That is a big pivotal moment with about 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and obviously now it's an 8-point game, so the 2-point versus 1-point conversion discussion shelved anyway the next time if St. Joseph can score again. First things first, though, now it's back on their defense to make a big-time stop. This is going to be important for the Goats, and for Nebraska, a chance, a sliver of a chance with a lot of time still left to try to really put this thing to bed.
Just a score here, whether it's a long sustained drive or a one-play punch to try to knock the Goats out. You're going to take it either way. Back in the hands of Lowe. Byers complete. Getting the head around just in time is Kevin Davis.
I tell you what, Caleb Lowe has been impressive today.
Hasn't he? It's been incredible.
Look at the stoicism as he lets that thing fly, tight window.
Right through the hands of Weathersby.
That takes some courage to know that that thing's going to get on target in a one-score game. To just hit your back foot and let it rip. Don't think about it. Just trust the arm, and Lowe has trust in that right arm.
Another low snap. Pressure comes immediately. Guess who? It's Kevin Davis again on the far side.
That'll move the chains.
Able to get it on C.J. Bradley. Was slow to get up initially, but he gets up, walking to his own power, and a fresh set of downs, like you mentioned, Aaron.
And they didn't need a great deal of much. And they didn't get a great deal of much.
And most importantly, that clock continues to run, now under 6.5 with an 8-point lead.
See how aggressive St. Joseph goes to maybe here defensively, if they continue to sit back and play coverage.
Reynolds with pressure, low sidestep, throws down the field for the knockout punch. Incomplete, but a flag.
Haven't had a great deal of PI penalties, but that one got there a bit early and obviously never got the head around. Helmet right into the chest of the intended receiver. That's going to move the football the freeway.
For a former All-Mountain West defensive back and Coach Golston, irate with his defender Darius Norfils, who, again, I mean, few and far in between as some pass interference calls have been made this 2026 season. That's a pretty easy one to make.
Well, maybe a good one to take, but you'd like to see him not get his eyes caught in the backfield, looking at what was happening with Lowe, which allowed Hampton to get behind him.
And now the Siege will have this next snap in Goats territory, under 6 to go. Quick throw down the line, incomplete. Another souvenir for a fan in one of the side box suites.
And again, they had the right play call for the blitz coming from St. Joe. And again, St. Joe comes from the backside, so they have to throw it to the coverage side. Even if it's caught, it's not going to go very far. Tell you what, though, flirting with fire is St. Joseph with that, because if just one time, that's throwing back into the blitz, you might have a huge touchdown play for Nebraska.
Yates across the field, trying to go his way, and a perfect undercut by Nasir Greer, and almost with an interception. Would have been the third for Lowe.
And Sanga Yates is saying maybe a little too perfect, because I think he got a little bit of jersey. I think he might have grabbed Yates as he's coming across in order to get himself in front. One that you absolutely want to bring in. And on those circumstances, though, as the defender, Greer might go to bed tonight thinking about that one.
0 for 5 on third down. It's a chance to convert here for the Siege. They go down the field, and it's wide open. Touchdown, Nebraska. Blown coverage by the Goats, and they get burned.
St. Joseph was way too infatuated with the fake screen behind the line of scrimmage. You have to have someone still dedicated to each of the receivers that side. Everyone came up to play the screen pump, and it left Hampton to just run right up the field, and now we just talked about it. I mean, now you're really thinking about that dropped interception if you're Greer. Still time left on the clock for this to become a game again, but that might be a killer.
We have seen some very crazy things happen in the Arena League, and especially here at the Civic Arena, so never say never, but not looking great right now for St. Joseph on the extra point try, bowling through two different defenders is David Brown. And the visiting Nebraska fans have made the trip down from Grand Island, making some noise for the Siege as they're about 4 minutes and 12 seconds away from a big road win to keep their season perfect.
Yeah, it's been an impressive showing, particularly from the defense of Nebraska. We knew Caleb Lowe was efficient, and he has been a sound, solid quarterback all season long, and we've seen it on display in a game where he's thrown 2 interceptions. He's still been the most impressive offensive player on the field for either team. He has been sensational. And that defense shutting St. Joseph down in the second half, that is the story. They have put a stamp on being the best defense in the Arena League here in the first half of the season with the way that they have played against the #1 offense in the league in St. Joseph.
A statement-making game indeed for the Siege. In the catbird seat right now. And now for St. Joe, you need another quick score as you're going to take the snap with under 4 minutes to go in the game. Need a quick score, something fast here.
That's going to have to be lightning quick. Or you're just going to have to really rely on that 4th and 15 conversion play, which they're not uncomfortable with.
We have we've seen them do it, and you think of some of the most, or arguably the most electric plays made in Goats history, whether Kansas City or St. Joseph, it all has been on a 4th and 15 try instead of an onside kick. White pumps, trying to direct traffic. Now we'll try to run, and we'll get a couple. Had some options down the field, and A.D. Ely, but 2 defenders covering him up. Barely towards 3 to go in the game. A 15-point lead for Nebraska. White, pressured again. A little stiff arm buys time, spikes it at the feet of Marshall.
And that blitz has been an issue for St. Joseph today. Serta giving them some nightmares throughout the day on that particular play. I believe it was Holmes who got through clean.
Needed on this play. White throws over the middle, and it's incomplete, trying to feed it to A.D. Ely, and no doubt you're going for it here. Under 2.5 to go in the game, down 15. This is dire times here for the St. Joseph squad, staring at the barrel of their first loss here in 2026.
That's when you just gotta put it a little bit out in front of him. Lead your receiver just a smidge.
Now some fans starting to make the way out of the Civic Arena. And never say never in these Arena League games, especially here in St. Joseph. Needs some magic here. Right before the 2-minute timeout, 4th and 7. What's he got? Smith, open, caught. Big catch by Boo Smith. And we head to the timeout with the Goats near the red zone, down 15, need a score. Can the Siege hold on to this lead? Punched their ticket to 4-0. Find out when we return. Do or die time for St. Joe. Under 2 to go in the game. 1:51, down 15. Taking the snap. Ball is at the 15-yard line. Need a score. Quickly into the hands of Marshall. He's inside the 10. Goats go and hurry up as quick as they can. White to pass again. Pressure. Dumps. Complete. Wilson lowers the shoulder and he's in. Touchdown, St. Joseph.
Well, no signal just yet. The near side official gonna clarify something.
It is not official.
Might have touched the wall, and he was contacted. So they're gonna talk about, was it sufficient contact?
Well, here's a look for us and for the folks at home.
Here's the pass.
I think he avoids the wall just enough. From that angle, at least.
Yeah, they're going to spot it for a 2-point conversion now, so they've talked about it. And this is huge, because if you don't get this, Dylan, you're talking about now potentially needing to do Mr. 4th and 15 shenanigans twice.
And you only have one Ryan Martinez that can make one of those spectacular conversion style plays. That we saw it 2 years ago, and Josh White had a front row seat to it 2 years ago in the Arena League playoffs with the Iowa Woo. The Goats had that miraculous play, still didn't end up winning the game. They had one here in the arena, in the Civic Arena last year. I believe it also was against the Iowa Woo.
It's always Iowa.
It's always Iowa. Nebraska, they're close enough. They're within proximity.
Oh, they are not going to like that in the comments section.
I apologize for the Nebraska faithful watching along. It's a 2-point try here for St. Joseph. Gotta have it to make it a 7-point game. All the way back, still peeling back. Trouble for White. He's down and so's the ball's out. Scooped up, running it in. Isaiah Nixon. And that's the last thing you needed there for St. Joseph.
Well, still a two-possession game, so it's basically the same as the miss.
As far as the scrambling, burning up that much time, those precious seconds, who knows? Kudos to White. I mean, doing everything he possibly can to make something happen. Almost took a hand to the face there. Any little grasp that could have been called a face mask, but instead it's Nixon that scoops it up and takes it in for the 2 points.
And again, the officials chatting about something. You'd imagine St. Joseph is going to try the 4th down play.
Have to.
I mean, otherwise you're just waving a white flag.
It's a second touchdown tonight on the Goats offense. And Malik Wilson, 2 for Boo Smith and 1 for Ryan Martinez. As for Nebraska, they have 3 for Yates and 1 apiece for Vince and David Brown. And then another one for number 11, Joseph Hampton. Who's been both quarterbacks slinging it all over the yard and having the better boasting stats right now. Caleb Lowe, his team with the lead, and very well possible he was the player of the week in the league last week in week 3. And again, barring a late game collapse here in this final 128, I think you could make a case there where for Lowe, he could be the player of the week again here in week 4.
Yeah, he's been really, really solid here tonight. Certainly going against some competition that most of the league is not having to compete against this evening. And here we go. St. Joseph is going to need to get to midfield on this play, Dylan, to keep this thing alive.
So we've been saying 4th and 15. It's a 4th and 20 play. But good easy mark is they got to get to midfield. Players back deep. It's Cole, the free safety, his feet right at midfield on the Boss Goat logo. From his own end zone, White, pressure, gets rid of it. Martinez pitching it back, looking for that magical moment. Instead, it's taken away by Nebraska. Lightning will not strike here tonight at St. Joseph.
This Nebraska defense is just smothering. They have really opened some eyes, I think. They have been the best defense in the league. This was the test. This was the #1 offense in the Arena League. And the good defense has beaten the good offense here before our very eyes. Now they've got at least one more matchup coming up later this year. And this is circle it in pen, marquee, must-watch TV when these two teams get together. And it might not just be one more matchup, Dylan.
Yeah, this could potentially be the first of a trilogy with these two. And right now, Act 1 looks like it's going to go the way of the visitors. The Siege have come in and taken over the Civic Arena. Goats fans making their way out to the parking lots, running the ball with Hampton. And St. Joe does have all 3 timeouts, and I think one was just burned here. Still 2 more to play with here for Coach Gold. So you're looking at the immediate future for both of these teams. St. Joseph, this is 5 weeks left in the regular season, so you're here at home next week for St. Joseph against Eau Claire. You have the 4th of July bye week. That's about that time where the Goats are hoping starting quarterback Angelo Trujillo is going to be back in the starting role. He missed his 2nd straight game here tonight. And then you open up out of the bye week again here at home against the Iowa Woo, and then you go on the road to take on these Nebraska Siege and wrap up the season on July 25th at Eau Claire. Again, for all home games here at St. Joe, you can get your tickets at stjgoatsfootball.com. As for Nebraska, back home next week against Iowa, out of the 4th of July bye week at Eau Claire, and then home against St. Joseph. They wrap up the year on the road at Iowa. Continuing to melt the clock as much as they can. A handoff, it's to Yates. Now the whistles will blow. Quick timeout taken. That stops the clock at 1:18.
So very obvious that Nebraska is not being overly pushy, trying to get the points here. Very content to just kill off St. Joseph's timeouts. I have to say, it has been a very good defensive performance for the Goats against this Nebraska rushing attack. They haven't really tried to force the issue that much. We've talked about that in great detail, but in the few times they have run the ball, St. Joseph has been ready for it each time.
Yeah, that's a couple of things we can look at. I'm sure we'll have some final stat totals for you guys at the last break before we wrap up our broadcast. But we talked about for the Siege, the #1 rushing offense, #1 rushing attack this season, held to minimal. I mean, haven't had a rush of any more than maybe a couple yards, maybe 3. That's their largest at best. And on the flip side of that for St. Joseph, it was that explosive offense against this defense of the Siege and what was going to hold up. And you said it perfectly earlier, the better defense has beaten the better offense, and then more often than not, that's typically what the case is. I guess that's why they say defense wins you championships. And what a big win it's looking to be tonight for Nebraska, up 11. They'll have a 3rd down play, ball at the 5-yard line. They're going to go through the air into the end zone, and it's going to be caught, and that's going to secure it.
That was a perfect throw from Lowe. My word.
His 7th passing touchdown, back-to-back weeks with 7 touchdowns through the air.
The touch on this thing to perfectly place it with a defender in your face. Well executed by the QB from the Siege.
2nd touchdown tonight for Vince Brown, the former Mizzou Tiger, and that being the knockout punch. The Goats fans definitely making their way out of the Civic Arena here tonight. What a performance it has been by this Nebraska team, making believers out of everybody here in the Arena League.
That one was well played defensively for the Goats. Hey, got to shout out these Nebraska fans, too, that made the trek out here. A nice 3-hour, 45-minute drive from Grand Island.
And they have been here. They've been here since the doors opened to the arena. They have been loud. It's been by far the best showing of a road team so far this season. And the other one being the in-state rivals, Ozark Slunkers, coming up from Springfield. Nowhere close to having this much support, at least the Lunkers did. Of course, the game didn't quite go the way of the Lunkers in that game, so their fans didn't have a whole lot to cheer about, but it hasn't been the case here tonight for Nebraska. Again, the first year darlings of the Arena League, 3rd year in, and it's the very first year for Nebraska, one of the new teams added in to 3 with Memphis and then Monroe. And now they can add another big notch in their belt of coming in and beating the St. Joseph Goats with a 17-point lead. Hard contact against the walls. Somebody taking a tumble on the sideline suites, but everybody's okay. It was just a table, wasn't a person. That's always good to see. Under a minute to go, and I don't think you're going to see the Goats and Coach Golston wave the hypothetical, or the white flag, if you will. I think they're going to try to make something happen here. Just a little over 60 seconds to go.
Granted, it would take 3 scores in the next minute 6, but
I keep prefacing everything with Nebraska, 99.9% chance they win, but just on that one off chance, I still want to try to leave the window open. I'm here to tell you, I don't think it's going to happen, as now we're under a minute.
Well, whatever this play is, it better go to the end zone if you want that 0.01% to still be in play. I might throw to Martinez here. He's one-on-one at the very least.
White just trying to buy time. Now he'll step back. Wilson. Touchdown, St. Joseph. 39 seconds to go in the game.
A backpedaling touchdown on the scramble drill as Wilson got himself open. He just stopped running and then started backpedaling towards the goal line. Josh White, look at that spiral.
Gonna have a good look
Perfect
at it here.
throw.
That's a catch. That's a catch. That's a score. Gonna go for 2. Blake Wilson, his 3rd receiving touchdown tonight. For the 2-point try, White pitches it back. Seconds ticking away to the end zone, and it's caught by Bruce Smith. So Smith via A.D. Ely Now again, the Goats, they can go with a quick 4th and 20 play. 30 seconds left to go in regulation.
Now that is the only thing that helps you out in a situation like this. The 4th and 20 is untimed. Now if you get it without scoring, every previous time it's worked for St. Joseph, one of the caveats is that they ended up scoring on the play. So literally no time ever comes off. It is possible to get a first down without scoring, and in that case, then you have to worry about that clock running.
It's 4th down and 20.
All right, so another 4th and 20. And like Aaron said, very important, an untimed down in the Arena League. So 30 seconds. What is on the clock here? They have 29 on the stream, 30 here in the arena. Regardless, no time will be melted away. Can lightning perhaps strike in St. Joseph? Let's see. From his own end zone, White trying to step up, pressured. White pitching it. Moving around, need to get to midfield. Healy got rid of it late. Marshall, flag is down. He does not get there. Looked like a forward pass. Definitely, I believe, was a forward pass, and that penalty soon to be confirmed, and that should do it.
Yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap us up here. It will be a 9-point victory for Nebraska. The biggest victory of the season for really any team in the league. And they're going to do it again. Yeah, that was forward by 2 full yards. Didn't necessarily throw it like a forward pass, but it does go forward. Oh, science, you fickle mistress.
The Goats all time now here at their new home in St. Joseph for now the second year will fall to 3-3 all time here at the Civic Arena. And again, like we laid out, this is the first of definitely 2, and it's hard to imagine St. Joe kind of falling off a cliff after this game. Imagine going to take some frustrations out on Eau Claire and then Iowa after the 4th of July bye week to get ready to go back up to Grand Island for the rematch. And these two teams keep stride. They should be the 2 representatives from the Northern Conference, the Northern standings in the playoffs, where of course they would meet in the 3rd and final match.
And probably no need to run another snap here if you're Nebraska.
Golston and the Goats, they do have 1 timeout. They're not going to burn it. I'll tell you what, how about Caleb Lowe, the Frisco, Texas native? He has been stellar this season. And he comes in and gets the biggest win for himself in his amateur football, semi-pro football career, and the biggest win for any team, arguably, in the Arena League this season. 56-47, the Nebraska Siege are 4-0, and the Goats fall to 3-1. And the party is more than likely on up in Grand Island.
Oh boy. Reggie Patrick and Mike Reynolds still having a conversation. Does not look like they're talking to each other about the weather.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any postcards or anything like that exchanged between the two. Definitely some bad blood that's going to spill over now. Members of each team starting to get in between the two. Tension's boiling over here, but the final score stands. Nebraska 56, St. Joseph 47. The Siege, largest win and most important win of the season. They are 4-0 and stand atop of the Arena League standings. We wrap it up from St. Joe when we return. Final score from St. Joseph, Nebraska 56, St. Joseph 47. The Siege, 4 games into their history, Aaron, and all 4 have been W's. And they now stand atop of the Arena League standings about halfway through this regular season. And like we mentioned, there was a lot of implications on the line, even for down in the postseason, because the Siege, not only do they leave here as the undefeated team, but most importantly, they hold a 1-game lead over St. Joe in the North Division standings. And of course, they're the last unbeaten standing.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty massive considering the new shift to the playoff format, a North and a South division. So even though these 2 teams might be the top 2 teams in the league, one of them is going to be on the road for the playoffs, assuming nothing happens and Eau Claire or Iowa don't sneak in. It's only been 4 games. They got 6 left for either of those teams to sneak back into it. But yeah, this was huge for Nebraska. The big thing's going to come now in game 2. If you are able to get a win as St. Joseph, if that thing stays at 9-1 and 9-1, then you're going to have to start talking about some tiebreakers, which means in the games going forward, that is going to have to be on both teams' minds in other games as they start thinking about, all right, when is it appropriate to maybe take a knee with 1 minute and 1 second left, or I don't know, when do I maybe take 1 or 2 more shots at the end zone, boost my points 4 in those tiebreaker standings? It's going to be on the back of these coaches' mind at least a little bit.
It's been a fun night here tonight from St. Joseph, and no doubt a statement win, statement made all across the league by the Nebraska Siege tonight. They come into St. Joseph, they get the better of the Goats, and they beat them 56-47 to stand atop the lone unbeaten team in the Arena League. That's going to do it for us here tonight in St. Joseph. Both teams home next week. The Goats against Eau Claire, and Nebraska against Iowa. Alongside Aaron Feely, the rest of our entire outstanding crew here on the Arena League YouTube channel, I'm Dylan Funk saying so long, and we'll see you next week.